Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's Fight Night Rising. Very happy to be here casting some more TFT action brought to you by Juke. Make sure to type in that command !Rising or !Juke, I believe, in the chat as well to be able to head on over there to Juke and find all this competition in one place. And casting alongside me, we have Boopasaurus. How you doing tonight?
I am feeling good, Khroen. I'm so excited to cast some TFT. I've it's like when you're ready for a test and you know you're gonna nail it. You know what I mean?
Ooh, I like that.
I'm kind of feeling it right now. I'm vibing right now. How about you, Khroen?
Yeah, not sure I can make that same test analogy more time. Like, I don't know what's gonna be on this. Like, I'm trying to try my best, but no, I'm definitely more confident about TFT and my knowledge of that to be able to hopefully provide some good analysis and some good casting for everyone alongside you. But yeah, joining us for these lobbies tonight, we have a few returning players and some new ones as well. Of course, we have Gunmay, we have Sleet. Winning last week actually was Sleet.
Record
Broke
breaking.
the record, yeah. Did very, very well. 2 firsts and 2 seconds, so that will be a hard performance to top. But we also have Sphinx, Exkeepcalling, Wolfeyvgc. I believe Wolfey's actually a professional Pokemon player.
Yeah, so
Yeah, that's
if
really
I could
cool.
have like 30 seconds on this, so
Yeah,
one of
go
my
for
really,
it.
really, really good friends, Necra, a name that you guys actually in the TFT world might know. She's casted a couple things. Is really, really good friends with Wolfey, and apparently he reached Masters in less than 30 days by playing Mech. So someone who was like quote unquote training him for this tourney was like, just be like me Mech, and then eventually he passed him in his rank and now is in Masters and now is here. So I actually have some pretty high expectations. Not only is he a Pokemon player, he's like a multi-time champion in that
Yeah.
world. So I'm excited to see what they're going to be able to do here in TFT.
Yeah, definitely. Like 6-time regional champion, 3 times national champion, I think I was reading. But anyways, our last 3 competitors, LastKardax, Duo Q Abuser, we've seen a lot of, and Treebeard. Treebeard, someone who's performed very, very well on ladder recently, was holding rank 1 for a while, beginning this mid set. So excited to see how he shapes up in this competition. Now, of course, all these players are competing for that prize pool, that $200. 100 of that will be going to the first place, $50 to second, and third and fourth will be receiving $25. But as always, the top 3 will be invited back for next week. And all right, Boop, we've had a patch very recently. We have
We
had a
have had a patch. We sure have. And if you were like, all right, guys, this is the time for Battlecast. You know what? It's time to get excited and then jump off that cliff because it's still not that great. Because it's
yeah.
I think we were talking about it before the cast. It's just something that I think is going to be hard to. It's either going to be underwhelming or overpowered, right? And you have to be really careful on who's going to maximize their abilities with Battlecast. And right now, that person is Cassiopeia,
Mhm.
who I think is like the only one who really uses that trait to their best advantage. But I did learn some things. If you at home are wondering or into some education here, I learned that Jeweled Gauntlet and the electricity spike that happens with Battlecast when it procs can crit. So there's definitely some options if you want to try to build into it. But I have been playing Battlecast for the last 2 days, and I've lost 2 divisions. So it's either a piloting error on my end, or maybe it's a little underwhelming as we actually get a Galaxy to start things off.
Yeah, we do. We get that Nico-verse, so every single player getting that double Nico's help to start with, and starting with Gunmay's perspective here, grabbing that sword, I believe was contested by LastKardax, but Gunmay won out that one there. And
Hmm.
yeah,
I
talk a little bit about the Battlecast too. I've kind of I think I echo your sentiments there. Battlecast might still be a little bit underpowered. Cassiopeia one of the best to pilot that. Kog'Maw probably being the second best, but still seemingly just transitional synergies and not something you can really commit to late game,
hmm
unfortunately. But maybe someone can prove us wrong. Maybe someone in this fight night even can make Battlecast work to some extent. I'm always a fan of people making things work. Like I remember
Same.
a couple weeks ago we saw a soloist with like that tier 3 Shaco, and we didn't really expect
Oh
that one
yeah, it was like a blender
to
comp. Yeah.
yeah, it was a he
Um,
got second with that in that game, so
hmm And if
always
anyone is going to do it, Khroen, I think Gunmay would would do it. Our resident win first lobby and then see what happens player, and also resident champion Khroen. He got the better of you a little earlier this week.
did. Oh, but it was so close. Just a little quick aside, yeah, Gunmay, and I competing in the Giant Slayer series finals, and Gunmay got first in that, and I got second. It was super close until the last game. We were both confirmed top two going into game 5, and he was 2 points ahead of me. I was like, all right, I have to play for first or eighth, and then I ended up actually getting eighth that game, and Gunmay got like fifth, but it was enough for Gunmay to win that. So
All
shout
right.
outs to him. Gunmay
Yeah. Oh,
will
it
continuing that here, I'm sure.
it's like the greatest like comeback story ever. Gunmay's like storyline that he's had over the last month is literally perfect. Gets down
Yeah.
on himself, literally tells us he looked at himself in the mirror and did like self-affirmation and was real with himself and is now a Giant Slayer champion. Has
Yeah.
been in Fight Night for weeks on end, part of the regular crew. So we definitely have to cover that as we're looking at Kardax now. And I'm just wondering, I've noticed a lot of these players like keeping their Nikos on the field until after these rounds. Is there any reasoning behind it? Is it some superstition? Are they min-maxing right now? What's up with that?
Yeah, technically, it could be better to keep your Nikos on the board so you don't lose item slots in your bench, because technically you only have 10 item slots on the bench. You don't usually get to that point because you're usually gonna be slamming items, but again, it's technically better to
It's
do
good
that. But
practice.
yeah, LastKardax just does it anyway and picks those up to put on the bench there, and has a pretty strong start. A couple Vanguards, a couple Chronos, no upgraded units, but even still, Ionic is a super good item in all stages of the game, but early it can definitely help you win some rounds very, very well.
Any item that's going to be like confirmed damage, right? When something happens, then this will happen. And Ionic Spark definitely falls in that category. As Zaya just eats a Caitlyn ult to the face. Something that we should talk about too, Crowan, is the choice that a lot of people have here in Nico verse that's Primal blew our minds with a couple weeks ago,
Oh
which
yeah.
is, do you slam your two Nico, say you get a Vayne on your opening like orbs, right? Do you slam your first two Nikos to get a tempo kind of head start and build up a lead and maybe fall off a little later in top four? Or do you wait for the Urgots or those 5 cost champions for those Nikos?
Yeah, no, there's definitely merit to doing both. I think we saw Treebeard actually double Nico his Bard, and I have some thoughts about that I will share in one moment. But I do really, really like, I think I learned from Primal and the insight that he gave even after he won a couple of weeks ago, that he didn't know if he wanted to Nico his Vayne or not. He's really unsure, but it turned out to work really well. He won that lobby with like 76 HP,
Mhm.
and I think that's a really, really good style of play that I personally have even practiced myself. I did that in giantslayer series finals, and I got believe a second that game. But I do like it very, very much for units like Cassiopeia and Vayne. But as we see here, actually good transition. LastKardax is facing Treebeard right now. Treebeard has decided to Nico the Bard, and very fortunately for him, also roll a tier 2 Xin Shao. So that tier 2 Xin Shao is tanking so much. The Karma in as well for the Mystics, and that Bard is farming an immense amount of meeps. I believe that was 7 XP there for Treebeard. So
That's
I think
crazy.
he has already pre-leveled to 5. Yeah, maybe. I mean, oh yeah, he's 5 right now. Actually, we swapped to Treebeard's perspective. He's gonna put in probably another protector, I would assume, and Treebeard's going to be level like 8 before Wolves, I would imagine, actually, this game.
Yeah, the boss Bard here. Look at like the size differential between Bard and everyone else too. It's actually really intriguing because when you think about it, you got to kind of think about XP and money, right? And the fact that he was able to get what 7 in one round means that he just saved 8 gold or 7 gold, potentially 8. But I don't know if you're like me, Khroen. Just one quick thing: that 1 next to that 20 is bothering me. Uh,
Yeah, a lot of people just like when Bard leaves an odd number in your XP bar there.
yeah.
That's a little unfortunate, but yeah, it does. Bard has a lot of value, and I actually want to note for drawing a 1-to-1 ratio on Bard meeps early to XP. I don't think it's actually correct to a 1-to-1 ratio. I think it's
Hmm.
actually one Bard meep early is worth a little bit less net value than 1 gold, because there's no option for you to make that to actual gold to econ, and that would be like more valuable in some
Yeah.
have that option. So the fact that it has to be XP is apparently a little bit less value. It's still value, right? You're still
Hmm.
getting all that Bard value, which is the reason that Treebeard decided double Nico that, and fortunate enough to have 100 HP as well. Usually, if you play Bard early, you're going to be sacking some HP, but Treebeard in a very good spot, having to get the best of both worlds there.
All right. Well, now that we're on 2-4, I think the comps start showing themselves. So if you're just kind of tuning in, the beginning of one of these lobbies is, it's just people transitioning. People are getting items. Nothing is really set in stone. This is when things start really becoming clear. The picture starts happening. And right now we've got Star Guardians and Vanguards along with a couple sorcerers. And someone must have read Mismatch Sock's guide on Ari today, because we've got some Ari action and a little trivia about Sphinx. So Sphinx has been a part of the Little Legends podcast community for a really long time, and I believe has never gotten over 5th place if I'm casting. So it's unfortunate for Sphinx that I'm
Oof.
here, but I hope the curse is going to be broken because I like seeing that people are building on this Ari. People were, I think, already exploring putting some items on Ari, using a little bit of Star Guardians. Gunmay did win a lobby with like a Star Guardian mixture kind of a comp. Can you walk us through what Sphinx might be going for with this blue buff Morello's Ari?
Yeah, sure. There's a couple of options here going Booba Forellos. It's a very good start for Sorks or any variation of Sork compositions, and we see a lot of those. We see ones with Riven, we see ones with Mech, we see ones that even go, 6 Star Guardians. We happen to get a Star Guardian spat, go to 9, play that Janna, and it really helps a bunch of units. But Victor and Zerath being the top 2. So I would it also can go into Cassiopeia though. Blue buff and Morello's being 2 very important items for the Cassiopeia Vanguard Mystics comp. So I wouldn't be surprised if Sphinx did roll a Cassio, that would be the transition there. Keeping the 4 Vanguards, especially playing the 4 Vanguards right now, not playing 2 Sork, really, really makes me think that Sphinx wants to prioritize that Cassiopeia. But he maybe is thinking about that more because he's swapping them in and out. So
Yeah.
basically, end all be all, he has options right now.
Yeah, and I don't know about you guys who are watching right now, but when I am presented with options, I kind of freeze up, right? I definitely like looking for some of those reach comps, but when you have these kinds of options, I think it's the mark of a really good player when and how they make decisions. Something that you pointed out last week was I forget what galaxy we were on, but someone had, I think it was trade sector, and
Yeah,
everyone
it
had to
was.
play a lot quicker and make those kinds of decisions. And this is kind of where it shows up again. When you have this item set, you got options. You saw Gunmay win with, some Star Guardian splattered into his team comp, but also these are perfect Cassiopeia items.
Yeah.
When do you kind of commit if you're Sphinx? When, like, yeah, a lot of things have to happen, but on the most basic level, when is like the easiest time to say, all right, I'm going to go ahead and just go with this cast?
Yeah, so the easiest time to commit is when you find one of those units. Like you say, you find, a couple rumbles, some Annies, like okay, that puts you in the direction to going Mech Sorix, or if you find like a Victor or something like that. But if you find a Cassiopeia first, then it will give you that direction. Like by no means you find one Cassiopeia and you have to hard commit there. You can still be flexible. You can still leave your options open because say the next
Mhm.
shop might have a couple Victors in it randomly.
Yeah.
But that is the most or the easiest way rather to find that direction is those units that you roll because playing an Ari early, she's a good item carrier either way. You're not going to be weak, so you're not going to be forced to have to make that super early of a decision. But speaking of making early decisions here, Sleet doesn't really have to make too many because he naturally finds a Jinx on level 5, already has a red buff and has double Nikos. I'd be curious to
Jesus.
see if Sleet does indeed double Nikos this Jinx. That would be such a strong power spike, but maybe feels as though it's not completely necessary to do that. Already even has committed a Rebel spat as well, so the game is playing itself for Sleet right now, actually.
And that's got to be scary for literally everyone else in the lobby because he didn't get below second. I believe last week, a record-breaking performance from Sleep. I mean, and I think two of those lobbies like weren't that close. Like Sleep dominated two of them. But one thing I was really impressed with about Sleet is he seems to get himself in a space where, like you said, the game starts playing it for him, right? Where things kind of just open up, and you're like, okay, this, and this. But I think what he does really, really well is kind of identify really well how to get there. And then when something pops up, he's got all of his options, right? And then he
Yeah.
just chooses a lane. And I think that he exhibited that really well just then. Interesting though, since Jinx attacks, it literally is like mucus coming out of her gun at this point. That he didn't Nico her, but I guess he felt strong enough with the amount of rebels and the brawlers and the extra HP that she was going to be fine, and he was right. Now
Yeah.
we're looking over at Gunmay, who's rocking four sorcerers right now. More sorcerers, I think. Fight Night is used to. What are we? A lot of tier 1 units, though. What are we? What are we looking at?
I mean, we're looking at a 2 to Riven, so that's the gameplay in itself for Gunmay as well. It's Gunmay, I believe, probably naturally a Riven. I don't think he rolled for that. And is probably going to end up beating Sleet here. 2 to Riven at this point. You're gonna go Sorix, you're gonna level up a couple more times, go 6 Sorix, maybe even Mech at level 9. And that's your composition there. Riven is super, super good unit. Um, and it's really interesting to see actually the variety of comps in this lobby so far too, because we actually a couple people I want to take a look at when we can is Exkeepcalling because X was actually going the way of Shredder. And yeah, is doing just that. Is a couple Zayas away. I believe has been on this many Zayas for a long time. But actually will commit to the old Shredder composition that we've seen basically none of in the past couple of patches since Jarvan and Zaya were nerfed. Zaya did receive a couple or one buff, I believe. Her mana went back
To
from
60.
70 to 60, yeah. And X, uses the Nico, gets that tier 3 right there. Has already slammed a bunch of items as well. Ionic, Zephyr, and that Zephyr is on the tier 2 Jinx too. Key Abuser as well, finding that Jinx as well.
Oh man, I love watching GeoQ Abuser. I think he's got one of the cleanest early games that, at least in the last 2 weeks, is a big reason why he's here in his third week. But there is a little bit of a curse when it comes to your third week. If you're able to overcome it, you might be able to join Gunmay in our regular rotation of heroes. But it's been hard for people to come back after that third week to be that consistent. And GeoQ Abuser kind of just came out of nowhere. I think got second in both of his lobbies, or definitely top 3. But one thing that he's been able to do in every single game is start very, very strong.
Mhm.
And he's having, it looks like, not as good of a time this time around, but he's up there. So he's getting to play his game exactly how he wants, and that's got to be scary for everybody else because he's all about building a huge lead at the beginning and then just seeing how the game plays out a little bit later.
Yeah, definitely. A very, very good point there about, the consistency showing up week again and being, a top performer, a top placer like Gunmay has. And we were mentioning this last week, it's about time that we see more people start to be that consistent. And Gunmay, his redemption arc, his whole story is very, very telling of the strength of player that he really is. So want to see more of it. Duo Q Abuser here with that Jinx 2 already with really good items. Last Whisper, Giant Slayer, and Red Buff. Arguably, that Giant Slayer could be an IE, but maybe it's actually going to be better in this lobby because, as we know a little bit of, Wolfie, actually, who I do want to take a look at soon, likes running mech, and Giant Slayer is super good into mech because it has such a high HP bar that it'll get that extra bonus damage, though. But now the Jinx players facing each other, Sleet still greeting and holding on to those Nikos. Probably will lose to Duo Q Abuser because of that here. That Jinx 2 will be cleaning house very, very quickly.
Um, Jesus, man, came with the merry maids.
Yep.
Jinx, just going ham. Has changed his bullets from mucus to actual diamonds. Is what it looks like right now. And Sleet had no chance. But the thing about our friend with our Jinxes here is that how are you? What's next, right? You've already kind of gotten that Jinx to tier 2. How are you going to make your team stronger? Is it going to matter in the end, or you're already in that top 4 because of those items plus having a tier 2 Jinx? We'll find out a little later. But what are the next steps there as we look up Kardax, who is on the bottom side of our leaderboard, as we do have Mech Pilot and Sorcerer this time around.
Yeah, this is a little interesting to me because there is mechs, there are sorcerers in here. Look at this composition. It's like, okay, this doesn't seem like it would be that bad. And Kardax did win the last round, but all these Sorks are tier 1, Rumble tier 1 as well. And these aren't mech items that we see people go. If you're going Deathcap plus Ionic, you're gonna want to be going Riven with those. But LastKardax putting those on the mech. I'm not sure if they'll stay there. I mean, we saw the power of that Ionic and Deathcap there because the mech was able
Mhm.
to actually get the ultimate off. But late game, that mech will get bursted down and not be able to do that quite as frequently at
Mhm.
all. Like, hopefully, Kardax will be able to find the rest of the mech upgrades there, as well as a good backline. Holding onto a lot of fizzes here as well, actually. And there's a rod already stuck on that fizz that's on the board. Kind of wondering what that's going to turn into, or if that was meant to be there or not. But either way, LastKardax
Mm.
has a bit of work to do to climb out from being at the bottom of this lobby.
Yeah, maybe it was because of like a carousel, maybe
Yeah.
picked up a fizz, and then it combined. But you're right. When I saw this, it reminded me of myself because I too have experimented with AP Mech, and I too have lost because of it. Not to put things in a just kind of oversell it, but you were right. I mean, I was getting CC'd and then blown up to where I wasn't even developing anywhere close to being able to ult. In this mid game area where it's going to be a lot harder for units to get past that mech and into that backline, you might find a little bit more success. But right now, if you're running mechs, that is going to fall off. So we'll definitely take a look at that a little bit later. Treebeard is he's still got that bar and he's still building off of it. Only level 7, right? We
Yeah,
thought maybe
I was
he'd be
yeah.
8 by now.
I thought he could go to 8 here. Didn't actually do that. And I am very interested in why Treebeard put the blue buff there on the Bard and not the Cassiopeia. It makes me wonder. I mean, Treebeard's always been a player to do some unorthodox things and try to make that work. Even throughout other games that he's played as well. I'm familiar with Treebeard from the Heroes of the Storm scene. Um, but yeah, I'm just a little bit at a loss to see what Treebeard's doing here. He probably, if I were to assume, he's just gonna want to go fast 9 and find Urgot. Treebeard seems to really like stacking Urgot late game and having that carry him with protectors in the front line. Like that Jin Zhao is going to be very instrumental in tanking everything for the Urgot to, just actually consume the whole world there. But yeah, not putting it on Cassiopeia makes me think that he wants to leave that unit in and go the Urgot. So we'll see if that's able to work out for him here as he's still on 70 HP, so pretty healthy in this lobby.
Front lining the Bard too.
Yeah.
It's going to give him 19 or out of 50 after this. Oh Jesus, those numbers hurt me. Something that I definitely want to talk about here is why. Um, is like why put the Bard up there? Because I've definitely seen like Soraka's up there because they can ult a little bit more frequently. Was it just like a bad draw of the card to get a little bit more XP because it got bursted down, or is it just a little bit of a weird decision?
I mean, I see the Zephyr there, and I think from whatever he was scouting, he probably wanted to Zephyr a specific unit, and had the Zephyr on the Bard. He's gonna move it there, yeah, scout a little bit. It looked like he was aiming for that Riven actually, but he could be
Gotcha.
aiming for something else. And if that Riven is Zephyr, then that's a lot of time, a lot of power, to be able to have there. Treebeard going to 8 and rolling down. Has a Shaco too in there as well. Maybe wants to go an Echo later on to maybe have a couple Dark Stars and a couple of Infiltrators. Placing the Bard in the same spot again, but it does not hit the Riven. Instead, it goes up against Sleet, who is still holding those Nikos, even at 4-3 here. The good thing for Sleet is that still has pretty decent HP, 61, so only 9 behind Treebeard, and actually will close the gap a little bit here. Actually surpass Treebeard in HP. Treebeard
Hmm.
taking 12 damage hit there.
That itty bitty Jinx on the other side too seems
Yeah.
like doesn't need to eat any Nikos right now.
Nope.
And I like that patience because I think what Sleet is doing is letting the game enter a different stage to really commit to making something. And remember, we talked about how he always leaves his options open and is able to kind of decide where to go, which lane to take based off of, win percentage. And I think we're kind of seeing that right now. That's at least my best guess as to why we're seeing him keep his Nikos there, even with the Jinx. He doesn't have to worry about Jinxes running out because a while ago they patched that out. Nikos will give you the unit no matter what.
Yeah.
Uh,
You get
but
three, yeah.
I'm really intrigued to see what Sleet's going to do. If this is going to end up biting him in the butt a little bit later, or is it going to be a huge wrinkle brain play that we're going to be talking about at the end of the game? We'll find out soon, I'm sure, as we
Yeah.
look
I
over
think
at Gunmay.
actually, yeah, looking at Gunmay here with not quite a mech yet, one fizz off of that, but going back to Sleet, I think it hasn't, at least it seemingly right now hasn't really bit him in the butt at all because he's still pretty healthy. And if he were to take damage, it would be against people who have very aggressively chosen to use those Nikos. It looks like Sleet here is going for some sort of maybe gangplank with that half of a GA Ionic. Maybe we'll try to double Nico a GP, or even just like roll down more at level 8 after Raptors and Nico whatever that he doesn't find. Has a Jinx, Aurelion Soul, and a GP, and all those at tier 2 are going to be super strong and probably would win a lobby. Looking over Sleep taking out Exkeepcalling there, the Xayah Shredder is not really working out, but X has a lot of gold saved up, so needs to spend that this round in order to stabilize. Has sold the Aurelia on the bench there, actually, interestingly enough. And looking like he's rolling actually.
Rolling
So
down the
maybe not
river.
gonna level, yeah.
Yeah.
Rolling down
Um,
slightly. I wonder.
get it in that barrel and just rolling down.
This is
Uh,
PMs actually. This is not a traditional shredder composition. Um, but 50 gold and only 14 seconds to roll with, not picking up or not finding really any useful units here.
it
Is X
doesn't.
gonna just read it out?
You can't save that gold for the next game
No.
if you die here. So X keep calling. This is potentially an elimination round for them. Are they going to be able to survive with this offshoot shredder esque type of composition? The Xayah though is going to be very very safe in the corner. Should be able to get a lot of free damage off. But remember, Blademaster's got a little bit of a nerf, so they're going to be getting that extra attack a little less frequently. But she's going to be attacking more frequently. But that front line just unable to survive through anything, as Exkeepcalling will be our first casualty of the lobby.
You do not want to die with a Nico and 50 gold still remaining. Exkeepcalling gets eliminated in 8th because of that. I mean, maybe because of trying to go Xayah in 6 PMs when, it just got a little bit weaker. But unfortunately, that gold and Nico will not carry on to the next game. Sphinx,
Mm.
though, we saw there being scouted by Sleet, is very low as well. Has a Cassiopeia and has 6 Vanguards, which we do not see very often at all.
And I'm
I
excited to see why, because we're at 15 HP. Sorry. I'm taking like I'm being mean today. I apologize, everybody. Sassy. I got like I must have gotten some like sassy spices or something in my coffee or my sandwich. But anyway, Sphinx, like I said, is cursed when I cast him. So maybe we could say that's
Give
because
both sides of
of
that.
this. It's literally been months since I've cast a Sphinx and he's gotten over fifth in a lobby. So fingers crossed he'll be able to find some success. But one thing I definitely want to talk about is let's talk about Six Vanguard.
Yeah.
Why don't we see it? Because I think we talk a lot about why we see things, but why don't we see that Six Vanguard as much?
Well, we see a unit on the bench there from Sphinx. That is a certain Janna. If anyone puts a Janna on that board, those 6 Vanguards are essentially useless. Actually will do nothing because the units will hit magic damage or will deal magic damage. Also, the prevalence of Last Whisper. Although there is an
Mm.
argument that Last Whisper, was nerfed to 75% armor reduction, so when you get the 6 Vanguard bonus, it maybe even like outweighs that. But regardless, Janna still exists as a unit, which is a big reason why we don't see a commitment of 6 units that is countered by 1 unit. Sphinx does fall there. It was relatively close, but Sphinx does fall, isn't eliminated yet, but has only 1 life remaining. Needs to either roll down all this gold to try to stabilize, try to improve that composition here, or greed it out for level 9. But with losing the last 4 rounds in a row, I don't know if Sphinx is going to be able to do that. Greed it out there.
He's just running out of time. It's just where we find ourselves. 5-2 is not where you want to be at 6 HP. You're not close to kind of like that free carousel item slash gold or those NPC rounds where you can see how you can get stronger. He's got what he's got. He's got 23 gold. He's gonna greed it out to see if he's gonna be able to survive a little bit later. But these Acels have been ripping him apart. The Acel also has a Giant Slayer Jeweled Gauntlet on him, so that Jeweled Gauntlet actually got buffed. It's going to crit a little bit more
Yeah.
damage, I believe. And these Vanguards doing a much better job against Duoq Abuser here, who finds himself at the top of the leaderboard on a losing streak, right? We said this would happen, and let's see if Duoq Abuser has developed enough of a lead to finish in the top 4, because it's a top 5 right now that is really, really close.
Yeah, not having perfect items on that Jinx. The Jinx was just wailing away at those Vanguards for so long there, and actually, has the last whisper, but maybe it was a little bit that interaction that I was just talking about. To whereas 6 Vanguards is a little bit too much armor for even that last whisper to shred through. Yeah, so that was actually a very, very telling and very eye-opening fight for me to witness there because I haven't quite seen 6 Vanguards at all recently, or even not recently since it's been a thing. But Duoq Abuser going up against LastKardax, that mech still has those AP items, and it will get blown up very, very quickly, especially when that Jinx gets a reset and LastKardax takes a hit, but still is relatively healthy, has a few more lives left, a couple more lives, sitting on
Mhm.
28 HP currently. We could see Sphinx or Wolfey fall here, and Wolfey does fall in 7. Didn't see too much of him this game, but yeah, 7th place, not really great to start off with, but we do have some more games. Sphinx falls as well, so we are down to our top 5 already.
Yep, the curse continues. Sorry, buddy. Sorry, Sphinx boy. As we're down to our top 5, Duoq Abuser finds himself in second place. Actually tied for second place. 2 people with 49 HP.
Yeah,
Sleet. Look at him. Look at him
look
at
at
the
him
top.
go. The greed worked out.
Yeah, leaving himself open. I wonder if he ended up using those Nikos on Jinx anyway. I'd be interested to see his board here soon. But you got to give him props to not rush into it. Like for me, I love slamming, just like you said, those 2 Nikos on Vayne or Cass, right? And just
Mhm.
letting the lobby react to me. As opposed to being able to play it slow and reacting to the lobby. And I think Sleet did a very, very good job at doing that. And he probably, to put it on the ASOL, was able to keep it at the end, got the protector spat, has the Jinx anyway. He's in a super, super strong position right
No.
now.
I like this so much from Sleet actually getting that protector spat, leveling to 9, putting 2 protector in with that Xin Shao, has the 2 infiltrator buff as well with that Rebel Echo and that Fizz. Fizz super good unit. I would not be surprised if Sleet wins this lobby here, even with maybe not optimal Jinx items, but even still, Aurelion Soul 2 with protector spat, that's going to be doing work here, and we see it do just that going up against Duoq Abuser.
This I was about to say the ASOL can comfortably 1v4 and we're going to see it happen here. Remember, he does get rid of your mana, which is why you're seeing those spell casts happen a little less often. And
Mhm.
Sleet continues his winning. LastKardax now sitting at 17 HP, and this is so matchup dependent for him in order to get to the top 4. If he goes up against the Giant Slayer, probably loses. Goes up against some squishies, probably wins with these items. But we're at that point in the game where these AP items have started to fall off, and now it's the rock, paper, scissors kind of flip of a coin. Am I going to match up well against my next opponent? And that's what LastKardax is wishing for to try to get into this top 4.
Yeah, has 5 gold on the bench there actually with between that Fizz and that Zig, so could sell to roll one more time for that Rumble 3 perhaps, but might not have the opportunity to do so because we went up against Sleet and we know how powerful Sleet is. Can this mech get another cast off? It does, but the Jinx and Aurelion Soul are too much.
But
But
ASOL
kinda close
Protector is
though.
pretty good. A lot better than I actually suspected against that comp, but really, it's all about getting that ASOL. It's going to need to be eaten by an Urgot or bursted down by some Blade Masters that don't exist in this lobby anymore. So that's going to be tough, and so I think the lobby needs to react to this Protector ASOL. How do you now that you have it? Right now that you know there's a Protector ASOL, 2, how do you build against that? Is it now, do you kind of just stick to your game plan, what you've been playing so far? Or is it
I mean,
time to
yeah,
do like a late game transition and go up against the ASOL directly?
the only thing that really you can do is throw an Urgot in there, and hopefully it eats the Aurelion Soul, but besides that, there's really not too much transitional, too many transitional choices that you can make in the late game to combat that. We do see a blue cane there, so players getting Nikos, maybe even some spats, or just a lot of gold. Treebeard, speaking of gold, is on 89 gold when this round started, levels up and still has 40 plus to roll with here. Has a Protector Aurelion Soul of his own, actually. So he'll be trying to either find the tier 2 of that or Nicoing it, I believe. Wow, what can Treebeard do to his comp right now to make it even better? I wonder. Running 5 Protectors, Nico's the Aurelion Soul. Probably will blue buff it as well. There's a lot going on Treebeard's board here. I'd love to dissect it a little bit more, maybe like even after the game. But for now, going up
All
against
right.
Fleet.
I'm so excited to see these ASOLs fly next to each other for the next 30 seconds. Which ASOL will reign supreme? Right now, I actually think Treebeard's ASOL is doing a little bit more work. Right now, they're pretty even, but too many units remaining.
What am I
Maybe?
watching?
Maybe? Is this gonna be a
I
draw, you
mean,
think?
it's 4 Protector versus 2
Oh!
Protector.
Oh my god, I
Oh,
think he's gonna
goddamn.
win! Oh my god!
Wow.
Let's break that down, Khroen. What did you see?
Uh, from my expert analysis of that fight, I don't know. We saw 2 Aurelion Souls and one happened to win. I mean, Treebeard's okay. Treebeard's Aurelion Soul has 4 Protector buff, so theoretically has more shields and is casting more often with the blue buff. But the Protector Aurelion Soul had the Rebel buff from Sleet's board there, so it was doing more damage and overtime hit as soon as those little spaceships popped out there. So
Mhm.
Treebeard's Aurelion Soul got bursted very quickly and was taken out because of that kind of unfortunate timing there. LastKardax actually, wow, tier 3 Fizz, but it
4th
got
place?
there. We have
Yeah.
4th place Gunmay too.
So he's gonna everyone remaining is in at the top 4, but again, Protector ASOL is pretty good. It's so funny. I keep seeing in the chat, oh, Kardex's mech just one-shotted. Oh, there's this, and then when he finally comes up on the screen and he goes up against the Protector ASOL, and that's gonna be tough to go up against. This Thresh 2 now available
Yeah.
for Treebeard, as it's going to be Sleet versus Treebeard, and Sleet has not lost since the last time we saw him.
Yeah.
And I just got to give this man some props. Like just the cleanliness of how he played this lobby was like he was playing everyone, like clay. I'm honestly super impressed by SleetTFT and his performance in this first lobby today.
No, definitely. He's doing exactly what he was doing last week in his consistent performance. It's very calculated and 61 HP right now on a 10 win streak. Can Treebeard take it out though?
We
Uh
shall see. Okay, so we get our ASOL versus ASOL. Throw your bets, my friends. Is it going to be Treebeard's ASOL or is it going to be Sleet's ASOL taking the victory in the end? As Sleet's ASOL was able to, I think, 1v4 earlier. And I think what this is going to come down to is whoever has a shield starting in overtime loses. Oh, Urgot got him. So yeah, good job, Treebeard. We talked about how Urgot is the way to get rid of that Acel. Now we're going
Yep.
to talk about positioning and 45 HP versus 37. You know, I was all ready to do like a, you know, two Acels just flying slowly next to each other cast, but they had other
Uh,
ideas as Urgot was a little hungry. He wanted some sushi.
Yeah, oh man, there's a lot that's been going on to break down. Firstly, real quick to mention, Gunmay did go out in 5th place. That is very uncharacteristic of Gunmay. He always, I believe for several weeks now, has either first place or top 4 in the first lobby. So maybe that's telling of a little bit of a decline in Gunmay. Who knows though? It's just one game, and that's TFT. Duoku Abuser
Hmm.
4th. LastKardax actually managed to scrape a 3rd there with that full AP mech. But going to in this positioning now, Aurelion Sol kind of it can get like trapped in the corner, stuck in the corner, which maybe is what Sleep wants to do, because if Aurelion Sol wanders actually too close to this Urgot, the Urgot can, as we saw the last fight, just completely take it out. Of course, it was the end though, but these small positioning differences could be what separates Sleet from, Sleet winning from Treebeard winning.
This time around, the Acel did get stuck in the back right corner. Also got EMP'd as these murder hornets are trying to attack everyone on the board right now. And they we got 3 Acels on the board, and this time around, Treebeard will fall. This is exhilarating
Sleep.
stuff, Khroen.
Yeah. Okay, so Sleet had a really good reposition there in moving the Aurelion Soul, the Echo, and the Jinx to the opposite side of the Urgot. So we saw in the previous fight before Sleet won, the fact that Urgot had eaten the Echo 2 very, very early on, but now the Echo is able to get that ulti off, and 2-2 Echo right now is super powerful unit. So it did come down to exactly what we said there, the repositioning, really making the difference.
And we're seeing some repositioning this time. Again, man, I love it when TFT gets to this
Mhm.
point where everyone's moving their units up until the very last second, trying to outplay and outgame and outwit their opponent on the other side. But you know, it really does come down to this time around, Echo got an ult off, so Sleet's going to be able to push in a little bit more damage as the Acel's ripping through the HP of both
Yeah.
players right now, and the Echo is going to actually stay alive, and Treebeard having a much harder time this time around, and actually keeps the Jinx alive. He's still alive with 3 HP, but again, Urgot eats the right unit. Everything can change here. We still need
Yeah.
to position accordingly and do that scouting and not get complacent if you're Sleet.
Position accordingly is kind of the name of the game for Sleet right now, more than both Sleet and Treebeard actually, because Treebeard needs to place the Urgot in a way that it will eat the Echo and eat the Jinx, but Jinx has been able to reset and pop off and carry alongside the Echo and Brilliance over these past couple of fights, which is why they've gone the way of Sleet. Treebeard really needs to either position Urgot in the middle, towards like the maybe the middle center of his board, or at least match the side of Sleet's Jinx or Echo right now to be able to have a chance.
Yeah, this
So
Echo 2 is, I think, the kind of hidden MVP of
yeah.
Sleet's board. The Jinx as well, but I think the Echo's doing more in the end, especially with his ultimate utility. Sleet also, with his Protector Acel with Titans, is kind of like a little bit of an extra life once he
Yeah.
does hit those 50 stacks. So maybe that's another reason why we see him. He gets a little bit more damage once that hits that 50, why he's maybe out damaging the other Acel, why he's coming out on top a little bit more frequently could actually be that Titan's resolve. And that's actually a pretty good Shroud of Stillness. Is going to delay the Murder Hornets just a little while longer. But I mean, we're still seeing full
Mhm.
HP and a bunch of shield. The Echo does go off. Treebeard definitely in the back. Oh, not anymore though, as Echo gets eaten by that Urgon. He's going to eat that. This Acel again. This is going to keep going, my friends. I hope you like Murder Hornets because we're going to be seeing hundreds more as we probably are at our last round of the lobby.
I believe so. Exactly what happened in that fight. The Urgot was on the side of the Jinx and the Echo and ate, I believe, the Thresh and then the Jinx and then the Echo. And that fight looks like super dominant from Treebeard there. There's like 7 or 8 units, maybe 7 or 6 units alive at the end there. And that's all Treebeard has to watch out for. What side to place the Rally or the Urgot? And will it be like the 50-50 that he needs?
It's a coin flip.
Ooh, didn't move the Shinchao in time like he wanted to. The Jinx is on the right side, but the Echo maybe is not, but it got Zephyr though as well. The Urgot first is just eating a little random unit there with no items, so not too impactful there. The second will come out very soon. Echo ulti comes out, slows the attack speed of everybody, but gets taken out just naturally there, not even by the Urgot. Urgot now eating the Thresh. Aurelion Souls are both still alive. Urgot, what's he gonna eat next? Getting mana drained by the Aurelion Soul, but it looks like Sleet's actually going to fall here to Treebeard. The Urgot was too powerful, and I think that's going to do it for this game. Treebeard wins game number
Wow.
1 on the back of that Aurelion Soul and that Urgot. Wowee.
Uh, it's mostly because of the appetite from Urgot. It was not stated until the very end of that game. I don't really
Yeah.
ever want to see that again, to be completely honest with you. That many ASOLs on the board, that was crazy. I'm not even sure my computer could handle it. The graphics power of all that ASOL. No, I just kid. I'm being a little facetious because it's not the most interactive style of victory, but
Yeah.
Protector Urgot will always be something that I think will be viable unless they just nerf Protector to oblivion. And I think it has its place in the game, just like Singe did in set two, and some other of our weirder like Lux units from the past. And
Yeah.
it's just weird though to see two of them on the board at the same time, just flying next to each other. Because at that point, you kind of just like want them to like fight. For real. Like drop the murder hornets, get those fisticuffs out, right? And let's settle this like celestial dragons, like we are.
Yeah, that's what would be nice, but unfortunately we don't have that. But what we do have here is the scores from game number 1. Treebeard getting 10 points, Sleet 8, LastKardax 7, Abuser 6, and towards the bottom of this lobby, some surprising results, I think, and Gunmay and Sphinx getting 4, 3 points, Wolfie with 2. I know a lot of expectations, actually something that we didn't get, or I didn't get a chance to talk about that I wanted to, going into game number 1 is the fact that, Wolfie only playing TFT for a little amount of time, but getting really, really good. Being a professional player in a game, you know how to transition those skills to be good at one thing to something else. And so Wolfie, I'm really excited to see what he's able to do in these next few games. Maybe a little
Mhm.
bit disappointed in this performance in game number 1, but I still do have high hopes, and he's going to be one of the players that I want to look at most here. Just players able to reach the amount of success you have in one game, like there's a reason you're able to do that, right? Like there's a reason you're able to get that good and compete and excel at that highest level.
Yeah, well, Khroen, you're speaking from personal experience, right?
I mean,
Not to hashtag humble brag at all. No, no. I bring that up because it's true, right? Even though Heroes is a much different world than TFT. Like I'm coming from the Overwatch world too, right?
mhm,
So it's all about being able to understand the generalities and applying them, and then learning the specificities a little bit later.
yeah,
Because you can't teach passion. Right. I think one of my things that I've always talked about when it comes to mentorship or teaching, because back in the day, it's your free space. I used to be a music major. I was a band director for a time, and teaching is not about teaching passion. Teaching is about teaching skills. You're supposed to have the passion.
yeah,
And I think
definitely.
if you come in with that passion, you come in with some of that ground floor skills, the technical stuff will come. And I think that's where Wolfie is right now.
No, definitely. I think it's very, very, very accurate there. And I would be excited to see, how far Wolfie does go with TFT. We're seeing him here compete at Fight Night Rising, and we've had some real stars, shine here at Fight Night Rising. And I believe we'll be going into game number 2 relatively soon here. But excited to see what
Mhm.
else people decide to bring to this
Yeah.
new patch. We saw a couple of Aurelian souls there at the end, so maybe
Jesus
a
Christ.
little bit not as exciting as it could have been. But
Can someone put yakety sax on top of that for me? Like, clip it and then just, the da 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 and just, like, have the
mhm,
ASOLs fly next to each other. That's content. That's free content for whoever makes it. You can take
that
that
it
idea
is.
from
It's
me.
so accurate too. It's just like that sums it up. That sums up that whole fight, that whole interaction. Especially the one with I don't think there's many fights where it's just the Aurelian souls alone left at the end there. It was really
Yeah.
just the one, but that was
Though
like perfect.
That was ridiculous, though. I did really like when the two veins tumbled at the same time last week, and they
True,
just
true.
and just stared at each other for half a second. And nothing was happening. Those are the types of little things in TFT that, for some reason, I really, really enjoy. It's just like you have those questions, like, what if two veins tumble at the same time? Well, the game decides who's going to shoot first, and they're going to win, and that's really cool. Like, what's going to happen when two acels happen? Someone's going to have to win that round,
Yeah.
right? And when overtime hits, there's a lot of different forces that come in that definitely help that case. But let's go ahead and I think let's we're gonna take a little bit of a break, Khroen, but before we do, I want to ask you one thing. Going into lobby 2, what comp would you run in this situation based off of, like, if you were like going in, like, of course you're going to be flexible, but what are you kind of thinking, like, what would you be your goal going into lobby 2 if you were participating?
What would be my goal in terms of composition to bring into the game? I mean, it depends. Honestly, like I would primarily look for what's gonna be the strongest thing in the meta right now. I think things like Jinx, Cybernetics, yeah, Sorks are first and foremost the top things that we're going to be looking for here. So that would be my approach, and depends on what my early game items were, what I got on carousels, things like that would give me a more specific direction. I am really curious because I don't believe we saw any cybernetics players in that last lobby. So we saw a lot of jinxes though, people rolling jinxes on 5, either double Nicoing them, or in Sleet's case, not choosing to double Nico them, which almost worked out in his case. But we will be heading into game number 2 actually, right in a couple of moments. And yeah, we have another galaxy, and it is the new galaxy binary star, where every single unit will only be able to have and hold 2 items. So the question is, Boop, how is that going to change this game? How's that going to change this meta right now?
Well, if you have, I think, a basic understanding of what might happen here, uh, something you said a little earlier is we didn't see any cybernetics. Well, my
Yeah.
friend, we might see that change in
Mhm.
this game because what comp works the best when you spread out your items? Well, it's
Yep.
cybernetics. So we'll probably not probably, definitely we'll see someone run that this time around, especially since it kind of just works for that specific type of team comp. What other comps might be affected negatively from being able to only build two? Jinx comes to mind.
Yeah.
It's to someone who might struggle a little bit. Is there anyone else who you can identify as someone who might have a harder time to build carry wise?
Oh, definitely. I think first and foremost, Riven comes to mind. I think Riven is very strong when she has 3 very specific items: GA, Deathcap, and Ionic. And I think if you take away one of those, she becomes pretty significantly weaker. Similar with Jinx actually, but I think Riven has it a little bit
Mm.
harder there. So yeah, that's what comes to mind foremost. Maybe Mech as well, just because Mech does really benefit from having, say like
Oh yeah.
Bramble, Titan, CSS, and Mech's just such a big body where that those items will have more impact than say if they were on a regular a regular unit that doesn't combine and make that super Mech there.
Hmm.
Outside of that, maybe not quite as impactful. But going back to the cybernetics thing, I would be very surprised if we don't see any cybers, and that will be something that it's on these players' minds here going into this game.
Yeah, and so on the other side of that equation is in terms of comps that might be better in this specific galaxy that might not be as strong as in a normal galaxy or something like Treasure Trove. What would you say? Because I'm definitely thinking like you can run Protector Asol with just 2 items and be fine.
Yeah.
So that's something that comes to mind for me. Is there anything else for you?
Cassiopeia comes to mind. It's nice to have the RFC on Cassiopeia for Vanguard Mystics, but it's not really necessary. You really only need that blue buff and then an AP item. Usually that AP item is Morello's there, but you can get away with not having that RFC, and you can get away with your Wukong or your Jace only really having, GA Ionic. Those are the most 2 important items there, and you can also build Thieves Gloves, and Thieves Gloves is actually very, very powerful on this because I believe it will still give you the full 3 items there.
Interesting. Yeah,
Yeah, you're not
super
limited by
interesting.
that on Binary Star, whereas you are limited by the normal items that you choose to build and place on units.
Man, you literally just gave me like whenever I learn something like that, sometimes my body like physically reacts. And it might be like super simple, but I got chills. It's like, man, why didn't I think of that? It's one of those, enough time I probably would have gotten there. But
Yeah.
Crowan, that's why I'm here with you. You're the you're the brains and the brawn. I'm just here. Yeah.
No, you're doing fine work here,
I know.
Boop. Don't undercut yourself. Don't sell yourself here.
It's more propping you up, my friend. Second place,
Thank
Giant
you.
Slayer series. Anyways,
Ah,
we've got
not
Sphinx
first.
now.
First.
First, not first, it's the worst. Sphinx is going to be staying on at top. It's another player that I know from the past has been able to kind of like do a Q abuser start really, really well. We'll see if that's going to be the case because he actually struggled a little bit to get something going. I think Sphinx's big issue last time around was he was running those 6 vanguards, but unfortunately, I don't think the lobby was very friendly towards that comp, especially with so many jinxes, so many giant slayers, plus the 2 tier 2 protector ASOLs. I don't think that 6 vanguards is gonna have a lot of staying power in that lobby specifically.
Yeah, definitely not. Especially when the Jinx, Last Whispers and gets to reset, should be doing magic damage as well as just I don't know if anybody actually did, but just the ability to place a Jhin and have it counter your whole play style isn't really super conducive to it working out in the long run. But I'm excited to see what Jinx does or Sphinx rather does into this game because that's a very, very good start for potentially a Riven having a GA plus a Rod, which was hopefully going to be Ionic and then another death cap. It's not, super, super committal, but it does steer you in that direction.
And he does lose out that round, but if you're gonna lose, that's exactly how you want to do it.
Yeah,
I
free
remember
loss.
there was, yeah, there was someone else that we were. I think it was like before or right near Terror Bursters that was like at 50 HP already. So
Yeah.
when you're trying to lose streak or when you're trying to get economy through this, and if you're gonna lose, you want to lose by like 1 or 2 units because that can really snowball. If you lose by 3 units 4 times in a row, you're just inherently going to be weaker for the entirety of the game. You just have less time,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So your
Puts a
health is
clog on
your
you.
exactly, and so losing going down to 98, then like 92, and then 88 is not that big of a deal. But if you start hemorrhaging uh, HP and you don't right the ship as soon as possible, it can be really, really hard to come right back. But the other thing that is interesting to me, I know it's super, super early and only the third challenger round, is Duo Cube user sitting down at 90 HP. I can expect that to probably change, but that's definitely someone that if he's not in the top 3 past like 3, 4, I'd be surprised to see him finish there.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes even though players have a play style and generally like to win streak throughout the early portions of the game, sometimes it is just actually unfortunately not possible, and you kind of have to lose streak a little bit and play the game that way. So while we have seen Duke user like that play style, it's not something you can always do. I would be curious
Mhm.
to see how Duke abuser, if he does continue to lose streak, which it looks like he actually won that round, but still curious to see how they fare in the mid game, like midway through stage 3.
Mhm.
We're seeing Dokubis right now a little bit, looking back to their board. Had not that many items committed. Just a poppy in the front, TF2, I believe, dealing damage. Yeah, but just a rod on that poppy. Doku Abuser is going for what item was that? I think it was a cloak, but I'm actually not sure. We will see momentarily though.
Mhm.
Just trying to figure out what he wants to do with his comp here. Looking at an empty bench, 10 gold, and a couple Sarks, couple Vanguards.
Yeah, that's a very common opening, and especially that Leona Poppy appears on what I feel like 40 to 60% of all opening boards that you'll see that double Vanguard. Same thing with Malphites and Alawies. As now we're kind of seeing these comps starting to show themselves. We're looking over at Wolfey. Uh,
Yeah.
one of these days, I hope someone puts themselves like on the first card in the pack. So it's like where they're buying themselves. I don't know. There's some opportunities here, but yeah, Wolfey is a Vanguard Sorcerer. Might be looking at some mech a little later because
Oh yeah.
you got 2 of them right there. And when you're me mech and you're known for me mech, then maybe
Wolfie,
you go mech.
yeah, maybe me mech, no pivot, no scout, but Wolfie going mech as we've been told, been informed, and already has a Bramble start with a couple of mech units. There's no doubt in my mind that Wolfie is indeed going mech. Sphinx, though, that indeed Rod turned into Ionic Spark, and that is a tier 2 Annie, though, and it is shredding through all of Wolfie's composition there. Wolfie going on a bit of a loss streak. 82 HP right now, but the couple of those first losses weren't by that many units. We talked about the fact that if you bleed out very heavily, it's very bad. But actually, Wolfie's done a good job at mitigating the losses and only losing by 1 or 2 units for most rounds up until that last
Mhm.
one. So being on 82 right now, 1 round left. If he's able to 5 loss streak, that gold that he gains will be super worth it.
Yeah, I mean, I've been at 60 HP at this NPC round, so I think what I've really established is just don't do what I do, and you can win fight night. The other thing I want to really harken on with Wolf is we've talked about his previous experience in esports, and something that you get to like specifically talk about now, which I'm really excited to hear, is what that's like to kind of enter a new space. He still has his Pokemon community, of course, but to come into a new space like this, new competitors, new casters, new everything, right? What does that feel like for you? Because you came from that heroes world and coming into TFT, what was that transition like?
I mean, yeah, just quickly the transition. I mean, mostly it's all about, I'm sure Woofy shares this as well, just the passion, desire to compete and to be a very competitive person, to want to go in there and win. So it's a lot of it's just about how do I become the best at this game, or maybe, as good as you want to be. And with TFT, there's a huge transitional period. Auto battlers in general, are relatively new. It's we're all learning, we're all getting better like every single day at this. So it's taking it one step like that at a time, recognizing your mistakes. If you're a player that's at the top level, you know how to improve, you know how to analyze your mistakes, you know how to say, okay, this went wrong, how do I fix it? You know how to get better. And Wolfie has done that to get to the point to where he's competing here at Fight Night Rising. So I think that it's a very good sign of just Wolfie's ability as a competitor in general. And it's something that I definitely read myself.
How impressive is 30 days to master? Just like in the grand scheme of things, like how impressive is that?
30 days for just starting TFT to get to master. I mean, I wouldn't say it's like the most insane thing I've ever heard of, but it's still relatively very impressive. I would say, like, not many people could do that, could just pick up a new genre of game. Like, I don't know if Wolfie had any experience playing Dota Auto Chess or Underlords or anything like that, but it's still fairly impressive in the grand scheme of things.
I totally agree. Now we've got Gunmay. He's got to be feeling a little itchy from that last lobby. I remember even when we first started talking about him, I was like, he'll probably win this lobby. But he got 5th, and I don't remember the last time, because I've been watching Fight Night for a while, and Gunmay's been there for a while, and I don't remember the last time he finished the first lobby in 5th place. He usually wins the first 2, and then something happens, and that's stopped recently. But maybe some fatigues. He's been playing a lot. So I wonder if that's maybe coming into play. Just the fact that
that's a real thing.
Yeah, no, totally. And he has been playing a lot of TFT, and like for you competing, for top 2, how tired you are after those things, and then come back and cast and compete again. It can definitely start getting you tired, getting those bags under your eyes, and you start making mistakes that you're not usually used to making. I haven't seen Gunmay make any mistakes like visually so far, but just in general, that can definitely start happening, especially since like I think all these days are probably starting to run together for him.
Oh yeah, definitely. Gunmay has been grinding day in and day out for weeks now, and was successful in the fact that he got first place in GSS. But I mean, even just myself competing, I was like, okay, I worked pretty hard practicing for this. I'm gonna take a couple days and just kind of like chill a little bit and kind of mentally reset. And maybe maybe Gunmay did that as well, and it's why maybe not as prepared for this patch. Maybe hasn't played that much, or maybe it's a little bit of just a little bit of burnout. Maybe I mean, it could be a lot of things. I don't know. It's only one game, right? So it would be too much to assume what's quite going on there. And we'll see in game number 2 here and in the next couple of games as well how Gunmay fares, and if he's still able to maintain the level that he's been trying to pursue and try to get to, which, I mean, we have evidence to suggest that he has gotten there. So can he maintain it?
This pop shield. I'm sorry. That's why I was
the double
laughing.
Rabadon's poppy. Like LastKardax. Yeah, we're talking about the Gunmay thing here, but we're just staring at a poppy just wrecking everything. Double death cap. What is that going to be? Like, you're in a binary star where you can only put 2 items on a unit, let alone having those 2 items be 2 Rabadon's death caps. Like, I have not seen that before, especially in binary star. Well, I've seen it before, but not in binary star. I mean, I assume it's going to be Sorks, but of what kind? Like, how many? And Riven? I don't know.
Or Khroen. Maybe it stays on Poppy forever.
I mean, there is another tier 2 Poppy on the bench there. There's a world LastKardax could randomly get Poppy 3, and that's just a double Rabadon's Poppy 3 doing Poppy things.
Man, half of that tier 2 Zoe's HP as well. I mean, pretty much the amount of shield.
Yeah, mech, by the way. Sphinx running the mech. And where'd that Poppy go? Couldn't
Yeah,
tell.
yeah. I mean, I guess when you're running AP Poppy, that's the risk you're taking, right? That's the trade-off. But I still enjoyed watching it, and I actually think it has its place. But just like I feel like most AP builds like this, like that kind of work earlier on, but definitely fall off where there are just better options, right? Well, it's fun to put it on Poppy. It's just eventually it just stops working. AP is like that because you're not going to get that beef. You're not going to get that Vanguard part of her. Even though she's got a ton of healing and overtime, you're going to be, I mean, shielding and overtime, the shield is going to get cut down, et cetera, et cetera. So while as much as I'd love to see it, those those headpieces should definitely be going somewhere else.
Definitely. It's just a matter of time before we see that. But what we're seeing now here is Sphinx, 94 HP on the top of the lobby, has mech and has a Victor. Sphinx looking like he's in a pretty good spot in the grand scheme of things in this lobby.
Yeah, and which I'm very happy about because the last time I saw him play mech, it was just after 3.5, and everyone was kind of just adjusting to sorcerer mech. Some people were still trying to like put some infiltrators in there. So
Yeah.
now it's nice to see him have a little bit of success. And the other thing about it too is he always plays mech, and there's always someone else in the lobby who does it with him. And then when he doesn't play mech, there's only one mech player in that other lobby. So I think he's solo this time around. So that should be good for him. And for all those who were wondering how the mech interacts, just like Khroen said a little earlier, still only 2 items for the mech. So it is going to get inherently a little weaker. But on the counterpoint to that, the mech got so strong, and the other units on the other side can't build 3 units. Maybe that makes the mech inherently a little beefier and stronger in the early game.
Yeah, no, it definitely does, and I think that we are seeing the strength of that right there, the fact that Sphinx is 94 HP win streaking. But the binary star does make a lot of changes. It is a new galaxy, so I'm not exactly sure. Like most of the things I'm saying right now is kind of just like theory crafting in the relative amounts of strength or weakness that we can see out of some comps in this galaxy. But one that I've talked about as well is Duo Q Abuser with that Riven. The fact that I actually think that Riven gets hit pretty hard, if not probably the hardest out of all of the carry units for this galaxy.
Mhm.
Do a cute abuser up against Gunmay though. Gunmay level 7 0 gold right now. So maybe spent a lot to be really strong and could beat the Riven because of that.
Yeah, he's definitely more on the aggressive side when it comes to earlier leveling. If he's feeling it though, right? He's
Yep.
definitely, I think, kind of like a momentum, like, like say you're at like the poker table or craps table, and like you're kind of feeling it at that point. And I think he's one of those players that if like the table's just broken, then you're broken. But if you're like
Yeah.
really in it, then you're like, all right, I'm just gonna spend all my gold here and do that confidently. And some people are really afraid to make decisions like that. And while Gunmay has gotten, I think, in the past screwed over, it has worked out for him most of the time. The aggressive leveling we've actually seen quite a bit of, especially with Bard in the mix for a lot of people. But
Yeah. We've seen aggressive leveling, but maybe not quite to the extent of being this aggressive. Gunmay did roll down, it seems, to 0, or maybe just leveled to 0. I don't know if he actually rolled, but maybe he did because he has a lot of pairs there, but hasn't really hit that many. Only has a tier 2 Ziggs and Blitzcrank, but has a pair of Jinxes, a pair of Nars now, and a pair of Malphites, and needs to really find a good front line. Excuse
he's
me, to
got
be able to
a
support this game.
he's got some good items.
Yeah.
So he's got options when it comes to that. He got a lot for this stage in the game. So he's going to be able to complete a lot of these items. This is when you're finally going to see this binary galaxy come into play because man, wouldn't you like to put, something else on that Jinx right now?
Oh,
But unfortunately, that's not the case. He does find the 2 Jinxes just in time. Thank you for that gold orb a little earlier, my friends. Let's see how Gunmay works this comp because of all the comps that get affected by this galaxy, I actually thought this one was the one that would be most affected by it. But when you kind of high roll into it and you just get stronger units, this happens.
yeah, I actually don't think that we're going to see the impact of it being that much weaker right now because we are only just entering stage 4.
True, true,
Sometimes you
true.
might have a triple item Jinx, but a lot of times you still would be on 2 items right now for the Jinx. And Gunmay got really lucky in his roll down right there and hit Nar 2 and Jinx 2. So he's going to be very, very strong right now. And we saw that strength there. Moving to Sleet, though, we talked about the
Whoa.
fact that Cybernetics would be played, but Sleet is trying to play them and lose streaking, and we all know lose streak Cybernetics does not feel good, not at all. But Sleet is in this position right now, trying to make it work.
Unfortunately for him, just a Vayne 1, Lucian 1, Irelia 1. Man, the only tier 2 unit he has is Nautilus, and he's been saving all
Yep.
that money, so it's gonna be, I mean, it's high time, like, maybe after Carousel, if he's alive, at 36 HP, he should be,
Yeah.
that he starts to spending all of his money. He's
He's
gotta upgrade this Vayne.
Yeah, he's going to next round, I believe. It's gonna be 4-3. So I do want to keep on this perspective of Sleet here. Yeah, 24 HP at 4-3 right now. Oh man, almost double that is Wolfey, and Wolfey is in 7th right now, tied with LastKardax. But yeah, it goes to 8, starts rolling it down. Hopefully hits 2 veins here, because that's what's going to be most instrumental in stabilizing.
Mhm.
Uh, Even is sitting on a Fiora 1, Leona 1 as well. Like that just feels bad. Hits Illusion, which is the least impactful unit that you can
Oh,
actually find
no.
there.
Oh?
Okay, there's Irelia, but Irelia has no items. Finding a Wukong, selling her. Oh man, not be, even being on a Vayne pair right now. I think this is looking like a fast 8th place here for Sleet, to be honest.
That's a crazy sentence based off of how we've seen him play. The man
Yeah,
hasn't made a mistake, and I wonder if we are just kind of seeing bad luck at this point in time. But we can't just give him the benefit of the doubt, right? When you're like you said, when it comes to loose streaking and cybernetics, you tend to find yourself in this position. But it looks like it's going to end up working out for him. The Soraka should die before ulting, and he's going to he's going to win it out here. So maybe we might be seeing him around a little longer. Maybe that was just a good matchup. But
I think so. Yeah, I think it's the point of time where Sleet rolled down all of his gold, and Wolfie there wasn't on a very strong comp there, and still had a lot of gold that he was saving up to try to get strong later on. What was it? Sleet did grab the sword, so it's going to be Last Whisper, i.e. Vayne. Even though it is a Vayne 1, it's still really, really strong. Vayne 1 actually, I think, like, is better than Irelia 2 in some cases, because I actually hate Irelia as a unit. I think Irelia is way too inconsistent. But it's
yeah.
neither here nor there. Treebeard owing Cybernetics as well, so we got a couple Cyber players. Treebeard
Mhm.
significantly higher HP than Sleet, though, over double HP there, and sitting around the middle of the pack, though, in terms of HP.
Yeah, we're seeing our first Astro Snipers too. I saw Timo up there,
Yeah.
so the first time we've seen that comp, definitely a lot more prevalent over the last couple weeks.
Ooh.
Did get nerfed, and he does find that Vi 2, still no veins there. And that, this is where I get so desperate. I just pick up the vein from the carousel instead of the item. But
Yeah.
that still wouldn't have mattered because we still didn't find another vein.
Yeah.
It feels bad for Sleet for sure.
Just needs one more because of the presence of that Nico's help. Can just Nico it as soon as he finds that.
Hmm.
Sphinx, 94
Oh
HP, still
no.
wincing with that mech. I'm not sure how
Oh.
strong Sphinx is right now, but Sleet definitely needs to be worried here.
I love the fact that he built a redemption. In my opinion, one
Oh
of the strongest undervalued items in the game. It's definitely becoming a little bit more popular. Sleet, once again, look at this level 1 Vayne, keeping
yeah.
him in this round and potentially winning it out for him.
Mhm.
Redemption that time around. I think he's got it. No, Annie,
Oh,
Annie. I wasn't paying attention to the mana. That was almost an amazing round for Sleet, but what rings true, Khroen? Tier 1
timing.
Vayne, pretty
Yeah, yeah.
good.
Tyrion Vane really good. It was actually such unfortunate timing for Sleet there because Annie was reviving from GA, but Vane, I believe, Vane didn't kill the Redemption Soraka in time, and right when the Annie revived from GA, the Redemption on the Soraka died, so Annie was healed and was able to get enough mana to cast and kill the Vane there. So just super unlucky timing overall. LastKardax though, those couple of death caps are actually going on the Victor and the Syndra, and Riven 2 is just the holder for that Ionic Spark. Still strong, but maybe not quite as strong as I would have thought this comp could be earlier on, at least.
Yeah, this comp is always one that when the rounds kind of first start, it looks like, oh, there's no way this comp, LastKardex's type of comp, is going to be able to survive. There's not a ton of front line, but it doesn't matter because you just do so much damage. And you can reach the back line with characters or champs like Syndra. As we're back to Sleet on this NPC round, He
Yeah.
is looking like he might be getting a couple more items. What is he looking for? He's got the tier on the Lucian, probably to hold just for the cybernetic buff. Doesn't have anything on the Irelia.
Yeah, once he goes back to his board here, let me count how many components that he has, because generally he'll get around 12-ish components. To get a Nico as well, 6, 10. So might get 1 or 2 components here, I believe. Looking for, could be Redemption for Leona. Or a Zephyr, I suppose.
Oh, got a GA.
Yeah, got a GA, so I might actually put that on the Irelia, because Irelia doesn't actually have any items yet, and you
Mhm.
definitely want to be buffing her up with that
I-
cybernetic buff.
Yep.
Oh, that's a double vein roll.
Oh,
Wow.
huge! And so now he can wait for a 5-cost unit, right? And there it is. You
Um,
know, the lobby kind of just opens up for Sleet. Is this as big of a difference as we're kind of expecting? How much does this change?
I mean, uh, okay. I was gonna say I wonder if Sleet's actually gonna greed out the Nico there, but I think it's correct to not do that. You need to be Nicoing that Wukong for a bit more frontline, because Vayne 2, you're living or dying by the Vayne 2 here. It's going to be carrying you, or hopefully carrying you, and we'll see if it does when he goes up against Gunmay right here with the Jinx too.
Look at how much more damage she's doing. Like, just
Yeah.
compared, I mean, just one shot, 779 damage, 821 on that crit. Oh, needs to crit here.
Ooh.
Oh, still going to be alive, though. But you're seeing just like how much better he's doing against everyone else in the lobby. And 774, 15 for the bottom 4 right now. So
This
he
is
could
intense.
definitely kind of luck himself into the top side of that, because he just gets he gets stronger, he gets a couple more items, and and a couple more better matchups, because he faced Sphinx and then Gunmay, the top 2 in the lobby 2 times in a row. So Sleet might actually find himself some
Yeah.
friendlier matchups as we move on. I'm really intrigued by this Kardax team comp, though, sitting at 7 HP. Last time we saw it at
Oh.
1, but there's a lot of damage here, as well as a Janna.
This is 5 Sork, 6-star Guardian. I think it's almost never worth it to go 6-star Guardians. You don't have 6 Sorks in already. But we'll see here. We do see the sniper composition with the Teemo Exkeepcalling seems to be working out, as LastKardax running to the corner realizes that this might be the round where he falls, but no, the Sorks actually bring it back.
Victor.
And LastKardax lives for another round. Wolfie might not be so lucky there, but yeah, I think Treebeard does end up taking out Wolfie. Wolfie goes out in 7th there, as Duo Q Abuser actually goes out in 8th place.
Called
Not
it.
something we expected to see, but yeah, he did indeed call that one.
Yeah, and look at this Sleet. This man is a master at playing with my emotions. 7 HP. Look how far behind the bottom 4 was to the top 4, and
Yeah,
he could
this is
never.
insane differential, actually.
Yeah, is how how much does this like happen? Like when a lobby kind of separates like this, and then you've got Sleet, who I think could take rounds off of a couple of these guys.
Yeah, I don't think it happens too often. I would say, I don't know, maybe like 20-ish percent of games, just throwing out a random number that comes to mind there. But it feels so bad when you're in the bottom 4 there. It's such an uphill battle. But Sleet, thankfully enough, will be able to take out LastKardax and at least get top 5 here. But the road to top 4 is going to be a long one. It's going to go into stage 6, because there's no way, or very unlikely, that Treebeard or anyone above him drops in the next 2 rounds.
I definitely agree. And with Gunmay sitting at 82 HP, there's still a lot of game that can be played. Gunmay was a little pissed off at that last lobby, it looks like, as he's developed
Oh yeah.
quite the lead this time around. And he's rocking that comp that I assumed would have a little bit of a hard time, but that red buff is just such good utility on the Jinx too, to cut down that healing along with that giant slayer, which the tanks are going to be a little bit weaker, because if you are building items on tanks, you're not going to get those 3. So maybe the Jinx doing a little bit better. I think what I need to do is kind of sit down with this galaxy and really like sit on exactly the nuances and like the small numbers of 3 items versus 2 items. You know what I mean? And how that
Yeah.
kind of interplays with certain team comps and how they make them stronger, because we're seeing a lot of the same old, same old. Doesn't seem like we're getting a lot of difference when it comes to the items, but maybe it's because these players are just so good, we're not really seeing the effectiveness of it, say, that we would in another kind of lobby.
Yeah, I'm not too sure, honestly. I mean, you gotta take into account the fact that if you have 2 items in your carries, the enemies also have only 2 items, so there's a little bit of balance there. In that sense, you won't really see exactly how much that's going to be detrimental always.
Mhm.
Sleet actually falling there, so the road to get to stage 6 was not able to happen, and we have Duo Abuser and Sleet going out in the top or bottom 4 in Treebeard, Exkeepcalling, Sphinx, and Gunmay in the top 4.
Man.
What I also think that Gunmay is able to be less high HP right now with those double items jinx is that the rest of the lobby is kind of weak. Sphinx, I was looking at his board a couple rounds ago. He was like 80 HP still, and I was like, how is Sphinx still this strong? He only has a 2 item mech and basically nothing else. At this point now, he's gone to 9 and found a Riven too. But even still, like, there's not really much power in these sorcerers. It's still a Victor 1, no items. It's a 4 Sorc Riven with no AP items. The mech has GA Ionic. I suppose there's a Thresh there that's pulling in Urgots and Aurelion Souls, which is solid, but overall, I still think Sphinx is going to get outscaled here.
I think you're right. I think having a harder time coming up with the words, but the lobby just doesn't seem to be as like rip run as that last one was. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? When everyone seemed to have a good team comp in the top 4, this time around it's just slower. It's just slower going to it. Even our bottom players just didn't have as much locked in, and so now we're getting into the nitty gritty. The leaderboard has separated a little bit more as Sphinx drops to 3rd place. Exkeepcalling, who I believe was 8th last round, finding himself
Yep.
in a 2nd right now. And a lot of the lobby actually flips from that last round. So I'm excited to see these halftime standings. They're going to be nuts as we enter Big Daddy Kane's round. We've got the Rage Blade, nice locket. That should be helpful. But what are you what are you seeing right now in terms of you've seen everyone scouting? Exkeepcalling is running the Astro Snipers. The Sorcerers might have a good time against that, but what is the staying power here? He's won 3 in a row.
So this composition is not a meta one right now. It is very much a hybrid composition in the fact that X is running 2 snipers with 3 cybernetics. The cybernetics being one of those snipers in Vayne, and having the Vi and Irelia, Vi and Nar giving a little bit of brawler synergy, but it's, it's still a little unorthodox here, so I'm not actually sure what the staying power is, and I'd be curious to see if it would be able to match up against compositions like Gunmay's right now, or in the future, saving up gold right now to go to 9 is going to be even stronger at that point. Rageblade going on the Irelia here, but it's only Irelia 1, so not going to do too much.
Not sure how I feel about the Vi with the double frozen hearts. Dies really quickly, and the mushrooms just trying to rip Sphinx apart, but Sphinx having no problem at all against
No.
that comp.
No problem at all there, and Sork's pretty solid, and I think Sork's is going to be a comp that does do well against those Astro Sniper Cybers, a bunch of different stuff there.
A little
Um,
spattering.
a
I think.
spattering of everything. Sphinx with
Uh-huh.
a couple of not great items, with that Zoe having IE and Rune Ends there. Not really that synergistic with the AP style of composition that
Yep.
he has gone with here, but
Well, he could
still
slam a
overall
Janet
strong.
in there and let it scale a little bit better, right?
That he could. Or maybe he just finds one to put on the bench so Thresh can pull it in.
Yeah.
Who knows?
All right, Sphinx, we're looking at that mech, and and this is a really good example as to why we were saying Kardax's mech might fall off last game. You saw how squishy, even with defensive items, this mech was for Sphinx. It was CC'd to oblivion. The surrounding parts were fine for Sphinx as he finds himself in a pretty good position still. Is his Soraka gonna ult? The answer is
Ooh,
yes. The Annie is gonna
close
be
one.
there too. Oh, this last time this happened, it was the Annie taking the victory. This time, the
Not
Vayne
this
will take
time.
down the Annie. Very close. This top 4 tightening up, except on the top side, as Gunmay has a 42 HP lead. Everyone else, though, still fighting for 2nd place.
Yeah, this almost guarantees the fact that Gunmay is going to get top 2 here. 2 other players will be eliminated pretty quickly going into midway through stage 6 here. After we get the carousel, after this round here. Treebeard, a really good bench. Double Urgot, Thresh, moves the Zephyrs to Zephyr some strong units, hopefully, but it's going to be Zephyring both Threshes, I believe. Yep. not the highest of value.
Ooh, good gnarl. To start things off, the Vi goes into the corner and finally gets value out of those frozen hearts. And Exkeepcalling, though, should be able to win this out. Treebeard looks like he's going to get
Wow.
eliminated. That he does. 3 members remain.
Treebeard taking a massive hit there. I didn't realize or didn't think that Exkeepcalling's composition was that much stronger than Treebeard's, but I was proved wrong there. Gunmay, 6 jinxes on the board. Maybe
Yeah.
looking for that jinx 3.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you can't put 3 items on a jinx, just put 4 on 2. Right? That's a really good problem solve. And
Yep.
eventually you
I
cross those beams, right? Put them in both corners. You know, kind of like the old X-Pike back in set 1. You might make something happen. But getting 6 jinxes here, I think it just goes to show that a lot of people probably assumed what I assumed and was like, oh, we probably won't see jinxes. As he actually puts items on his second jinx. Giant Slayer, that was the best option. Also has 2 Malphites on the on the board. You know, doing a little bit
Yeah.
of a Noah's Ark type of situation.
So with Rebel Spat, there's a chance that Gunmay could have actually gone 6 Rebels. There's that double Malphite and double Jinx in, but chose to itemize the second Jinx over going 6 Rebels. And of course, that would mean either selling the other Jinx 2 or finding Jinx 3 to put more units in. Gunmay thinking that this is the best course of action, though. And I mean, really, who are we to doubt Gunmay? Gunmay is proven to be super, super good player right now, so I am trusting his decision making wholeheartedly.
Oh, wow. Noah's Ark. We'll call it Noah's Ark for now with those pairs. So if you guys are wondering why there are 2 tier 1 Malphites, it's for the how the Rebel thing works. They both count as a Rebel, so they're both
Yep.
going to be providing the Jinx's full shielding in that situation. So if, say, you're like needing that, if like your Jinx is naked on one side, you have a little bit of room, you can just buy that 1 cost unit to get the full Rebel shield on all the units that you want.
Yep.
So that's just one of those pro tips. If you're wondering why there are 2 Malphites on the bench, and if you're wondering why there are 2 Jinxes on the bench, it's because Gunmay is playing quite well right now. He's sitting at 44 HP, 6 and 5 for the other 2. I wonder if Sphinx and Exkeepcalling, I think they faced last round, so one of them I think will be facing a Ghost and one will be facing Gunmay, and Exkeepcalling is going to go up against Gunmay this time around. Is it going to be it for Exkeepcalling, or will Gunmay find himself an L for the first
Ooh,
time in a bit?
huge
Huge
gnarled.
gnarled. Unfortunately, I don't think there were a ton of shrooms for him at the time to throw. But yeah, Exkeepcalling looking like he's going to take the victory here and keep Gunmay's W waiting for a little while longer, as I think Sphinx loses to Gunmay's
Mhm.
Ghost. It's going to be Exkeepcalling versus Gunmay, and Gunmay doesn't want that. He would have much rather have had Sphinx in the final 2.
I definitely would have. So I wonder actually with how much I was not confident in Exkeepcalling's comp, it could actually end up winning this lobby. Maybe Gunmay high rolls a Nico here and finds Jinx 3, or just finds Jinx 3 naturally, only needs 2 more, and that might be good enough to then beat Exkeepcalling's comp. But if that doesn't happen, could be an X win.
Let's talk about this comp a little bit more. Why do you? Because we said earlier, oh, it might not have the staying power, but it does.
Yeah.
We're here in the top 2. Is it just how these units work together? Is it a specific synergy working really well, like Astro? What in your brain? What are you thinking?
I think it's a few things. I think Double Frozen Art Vi is really strong. I think the Teemo is really strong. Having Thresh 2, everything's upgraded, right? Like Thresh 2, I mean, just upgraded the Wukong, but Irelia 2 as well. Having an Ionic is super strong. I didn't actually like the fact that the Vayne had Last Whisper at QSS. I don't think she's really doing that much damage, but it doesn't really matter though, because Teemo is doing all the damage that you really need, and your front line's so good already.
Yeah,
The Luden's
and
going on to the Gnar for just a little bit more mana. So we'll see if it's able to work out.
And so it looks like this is going to be a little bit more even than last time around, as the Gnar ult didn't get literally everybody on on Gunmay's side, and Gunmay having a little bit of a better time. But the tumble, though, is going to be enough to keep Gunmay away from winning this lobby much closer that time around. And something I wanted to mention about Vayne is, while she's not going to be doing the damage, maybe in this comp that's not what her role is, because a character aggroing Vayne and then when she tumbles takes a little bit of time to actually aggro somebody else. Sometimes they have to move and start attacking, and maybe just that consistent change in focus is enough to delay the damage to bring these cyber snipers a victory, maybe.
A little bit. See if it's going to be enough. Teemo did it much damage as both Jinxes in the last round. See if Teemo's able to do it again here, though. Walk us through it. Boop.
All right, gonna slam the Janna just in a case with the two Jinxes with the two Giant Slayers, trying their best to rip through the HP of Exkeepcalling, and it looks like it's going to be working this time around. Double Frozen Heart isn't gonna keep these Jinxes from winning the lobby from a Gunmay. Took a little extra time, but he is able to get there with the Noah's Ark composition. 2 tier 1 Malphites, 2 tier 2 Jinxes, and 1 winning Gunmay, my friends. And these scores are gonna be crazy. I have no idea what this the sheet's gonna look like, to be honest with you.
That's the Gunmay that we know and love, though.
Yeah.
You know, game number 1, a little bit of a fluke there. Gunmay coming back swinging in game number 2, and man, as you were just talking about, these scores are going to be insane. A lot of people getting a top 4 and then a bottom 4 here, but Treebeard actually the only player to be able to get top 4 twice, and so for that fact, Treebeard is leading the lobby with 16 points. Gunmay trailing by 2 with 14, Sleet trailing by 2 again with 12, and LastKardax, Sphinx 10, Exkeepcalling 9. This is a pretty much closer lobby than we usually have, actually, after 2 games.
Yeah, and if you're fans of Wolfey, like I have seen a 4-pointer hit second place before.
Oh, yeah.
So you never know. You can rip 2 lobby wins. And I've seen, I think Gunmay get first and second in 2 lobbies and then 7th and 8th in the next 2. So that's Primal. Gets top 2 and 3, gets 8th in the last one, right? Almost loses his victory 2 weeks ago. So don't feel bad. The thing about TFT, which is what I like, is you know, throughout like a bunch of time, throughout 4 lobbies, you still can have a chance the way the score system works. So if you're Wolfey sitting at 4 points, a 10 and an 8 can get you a top 3 as well. But that does tell you if you finish out of the top 4, it's going to be a lot harder to achieve. So if you're a Wolfey fan, you gotta hope that top 4 happens on this next lobby.
I'm hoping that it does, personally. I want to see Wolfey have some strong performances. Haven't seen the first couple of games, but you know, everyone gets a little bit of break, a little mental reset, and hopefully after that, be able to see 2 very, very good games out of everybody. But only one can remain victorious, emerge victorious. But on that note, we will be taking a quick, short 5-minute break, and stick with us. We'll be back in just a bit with some more TFT Fight Night Rising. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Fight Night Rising. We have had two splendid lobbies that have really been a treat to watch and to cast, and I am excited for two more, Boop. How about you?
Yeah. So just to tell everyone how close this lobby is between these 8 players, is only one person has finished the top 4 on both of our lobbies so far.
Yeah.
Just one. Literally anybody could still make the top 3 right now. I remember even last week a couple people were locked out. This week all 8 people can still make that top 3. So this lobby is going to reveal a lot of information for us. Usually it's the 4th lobby that's kind of like its own little world. I think we get a little bit of a preview of what might happen there in this one because Wolfie, you've got to finish top 2 or top 3 if you want to try to get to that top 4. If you want to win, if you win this lobby, it's going to be a huge boon going into the next one. You're going to have a pretty, moderate advantage to definitely make the top 3, but
Yeah.
maybe even win the whole thing. So this lobby is going to be really, really important for a lot of these players. This might be when you just, say, I'm going to play my bread and butter, play something that I'm comfortable with and see what happens.
Yeah, so much agreement there in those points. This game is maybe the most important one because it is so close so far, and the momentum going to game number 4 that this will give is going to be huge. We will see players that aren't able to win the lobby or even maybe even make top 3 based off the results of this game. So
Exactly.
excited
And
going into it.
it's kind of a moderate elimination game for a lot of these players.
Mhm.
Again, for it's just I don't want to pick on Wolfie. He's just unfortunately, he got the easiest score to read, right? The 2 and 2. It's definitely more about making sure you finish in a place that sets you up for success in the next game, if that makes sense, right? You got to play for 2 games now. If you're on like the bottom 3, you can't just think about this game. Like Gunmay, if he wins this game, then he's probably feeling okay, right? Or if Sleet wins this game, or one of our other friends who are in the top 3 or top 4 right now, they're probably feeling okay. But everyone that's below that half is like it's top 4s from here on out. That's the best way to try to guarantee your invite back next week.
Definitely. It's so tense for everybody right now, though even Treebeard having a 2-point lead that can very, very easily be caught up with in just a matter of one game.
Hmm.
Treebeard, we've seen a lot of very interesting play from him, and we'll see if that can continue to his success as we go into a little Legends Galaxy. We had Galaxies for all 3 games so far. Can
I
make
know
it
the
fun
curse is
short.
broken. The curse is
Yeah.
broken. When
Wow.
you when you have an 80% chance to get a galaxy, it can be pretty easy to break that curse. But this is really exciting for me because we got littler legends is what I call it, or tasty legends as as Lev and I like to call it. They're a lot more edible on this size.
Oh
But
no.
the I know, right? We're back, friends. We're back. But no, it's actually no, we are gonna stay here. Like Gunmay is like, the old silver wings, like the bucket of chicken at KFC. This one is like the popcorn chicken. You get different ways of eating. It's great. That's why I appreciate you more. Thanks for littler legends. But no, the tempo of this is gonna be totally different. You as a
Yeah.
player, if you were like coming into this 3rd game and you're like, okay, I need this. Everything is riding on this. And then you see some popcorn chicken on the screen. How are you feeling?
I hate little legends. Let me explain. Let me explain really quick. So there's a new website in the TFT community that's popped up recently. It's like I think it's like tactics.tools or something, but it shows every player they can look up their win rates on certain galaxies and little or top 4 rates in certain
Sick. Yeah.
galaxies. Yeah, and little legends. My top 4 rate is actually one of the highest of galaxies, but the win rate is some of the lowest, and I think that's due to the fact of little legends. It forces everybody, and I do it too, to play the game much more aggressively. If you low roll early and you're punished, you're going to die a lot faster. It feels really bad when you don't high roll the early game, and so playing aggressively is almost necessary. There's very limited ways that you can change your play style, or make a play style that doesn't involve playing aggressive. Wolfie, actually, I do have a concern for him specifically on this galaxy because he's a relatively new player to TFT. Although
Mm,
the last month he has been playing, the time has
yeah.
been on League of Legends for some of it. So obviously he's played some games there, but is a new player to TFT in general going to be able to adapt to that style if he doesn't high roll the early game? we'll have to see. I mean, rolling a Cassiopeia with 1 tier already gives you a lot of direction, a GA for the front line as well. I wonder if that's something that Wolfey is considering committing to, definitely keeping it there on the bench for a reason. But regardless, yeah, the point is, not a fan of this Galaxy. I play aggressively, I would get top 4, but there's a lot of times no chance I win the game because of that.
So how does your stats compare to Trade Sector then? Because that's the other kind of like aggro Galaxy. But there's a little bit more, there's way more wiggle room in Trade Sector to kind of like play your game versus this, because you lose streak on 2, 1, 2, and 3, like you kind of effed. Like for a while, like you don't have freedom in the early game. Like before, you could kind of, all right, I'm going to keep my items, I'm going to lose streak, I'm going to develop an economy. You just don't really have that kind of choice in this Galaxy.
No, you really don't. I think it's very, very two different play styles. I think actually my win rate or top 4 rate on Trade Sector is one of my worst. But yeah, that's neither here nor there. It's fine. I like the Galaxy better than Little Legends though, just because of the, as I was saying, just the fact that it forces you to play such a different different style. Kardax here with a few vanguards, choosing to take the Leona out in favor of the Jarvan 2. And this is a pretty solid start. I wouldn't be surprised if this GA cloak turns into an Ionic, and I think that's exactly how LastKardax started the last game. If I remember correctly, it was an Annie with the GA rod that turned into Ionic, and so we're seeing a lot of run back of that same start.
So the other thing that we have to talk about when it comes to these kind of Galaxies, Trade Sectors, the other one, is which of our players are going to have a harder time on this, because something that I've come to really realize since casting this with you, Khroen, is like there are players who like playing fast, there are players that like playing slow, and it's really hard for some of them to transition out of that. I think the easy one here is Duo Q Abuser, right? Would probably be fine. He probably likes this, Galaxy, right? He probably loves Trade Sector, but who might have a harder time here? Because Gunmay, who's sitting at the bottom, it's really, really early again, so I might be over analyzing here, but people who kind of have it slower might make a little bit too much time making decisions. Who in our lobby kind of falls into that place where this 85 HP might really kind of make them nervous or make some rash decisions?
So I don't know if I would necessarily say Sleet would fall into this, but just judging from the style of play we saw Sleet do on Nekoverse and being very greedy and saving the Nikos and the Jinx, like that style of play would not work here. I think Sleet does recognize that though. Sleet's a good enough player to be able to adjust his playstyle accordingly. But that does come to mind. Nothing really else in terms of style of play. Maybe Treebeard. But I don't know. I saw in set 2 Treebeard roll for Ivern 3 on round 2-2. So Treebeard never ceases to amaze me in the wild things that he does. He's actually just a wild card in my mind.
I'm a fan. That's all I needed to hear. Ivern 3 on 2-3. That's all I need, man. I have low standards apparently, but I'm gonna rep them. Anyway, everyone.
Yeah. Then already talked a little bit about the fact that I'm not sure if Wolfey will be able to adapt to it just because he's a new TFT player, but those players would come to mind out of any of those. I think Gunmay, enough player to be able to adapt to this playstyle. LastKardax actually adapting to the playstyle and the fact that he is level 5. Gunmay as well actually is level 5 before this carousel. So I do want to go back and take a look at both of those players' boards after this very, very quickly. Oh, Gunmay has the Bard. That's why Gunmay has the blue buff Bard. So I wonder what that'll go into later. Maybe Cassiopeia. Kardax is full win streaking, and yeah, found a lot of stuff here. Tier 2 Caitlyn, Tier 2 Leona, and 4 Vanguard. Super, super strong opener. And I like the way that Kardax is playing this. I've said it before. When you have this strong of a start, run with that win streak for as long as you can do it, leveling super aggressively.
All right, so I have to say it. I did provide some incorrect information. DuoCube user has specifically said he hates this Galaxy. Though I bet he's good at it. There are a lot of things that I'm good at that I hate. Because I'm good at everything except this game. I'm just kidding. Anyway, LastKardax. Adjusting well, and I love that these players are like, all right, we got to hit 5 quick. We might have to hit 6 quick because that barred, those 4 meeps might actually be the difference between win streaking and, you know, continuing your approach to your full team comp versus, you know, losing a bunch of HP. Like, it's really how small these numbers get when it comes to this galaxy.
Yeah, and that's distracted by Treebeard's board here. That's a lot of Blitzcranks, and from the Gnar as well, but has a Cassiopeia in and slammed the Shroud of Stillness. We don't usually see the Shroud slam, but maybe because it is the faster paced game in Little Legends, Treebeard feels the need to slam items. Like, it's so much easier to understand the vast majority of players, like the reasons why they do things, but Treebeard's like a whole nother level. I'm just like, why did Treebeard do this? And it always takes me a second to really like go over and analyze why Treebeard has done something.
What does it boil down to a lot of the time? I'm sure the answer is the same a lot.
Well, okay. Overall, actually, the answer is that there's not one correct way to play this game. Obviously, there's many different correct ways to play. And Treebeard is a player that is good at finding those unorthodox or non-meta ways, but making them work. Which is why I try to really think and understand why, because I do like I value Treebeard's you know, reasoning and point of view of why he's doing things. And I mean, it's working out right now for him. Has the Shroud of Stillness on a 2-win streak. Did lose the first 3 rounds, but honestly, he's not in that bad of a position here. Like, he's not 51 HP like Gunmay is.
Yeah, Khroen, anyone who is using the Windows 95 start button taskbar, also a fan in my book. Low standards, Windows 95 and Ivern 3. That's all you need. But Treebeard is sitting at the best kind of HP, a nice amount. Treebeard also is trying to develop a little bit of economy here. Some money might actually be really nice for him since he's close to win streaking himself, developing a little bit more of that economy. Ooh, is that a spatula? No, it's actually 9 gold worth of champs. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, a tier there actually. So maybe Treebeard wants to commit to this Cassiopeia. Treebeard does like Cassiopeia, as we saw in game number 1, but did take that as just a mystic and was able to carry the Urgot there. I wonder if Treebeard is actually going to be committing to this Cassio. I stopped there because I see Treebeard rolling on level 5 with less than 20 gold. It's happening again. It's this point where I'm like, why is Treebeard doing what he's doing?
I'm sure there's
Legends, so I guess I would prefer seeing him level instead of roll here, but he's chosen what he's chosen, and he's gonna live with that. It didn't really work out though in terms of hitting too much though.
No, I mean, maybe 5 tier 2 units is better than a smattering of tier 1 and tier 2 units at 6.
I mean,
he's doing all right. It's not like the Blitzcranks are going to be helping other than bringing the damage to your face right now if you're Treebeard. But yeah, very, very interesting. It's funny now because we saw that weird sniper cyber comp from XD a little earlier, and now I'm just like, everyone has this kind of comp now that they're just gonna bring out something new, and I can't help but maybe think that could be the case for Treebeard because he does like to be pretty spicy and cheesy when it comes to those comps. Someone who's not very spicy or cheesy usually is a SleetTFT, though, who is struggling a little bit today in Little Legends for sure. Let's see what this comp is. Rebel Infiltrators, some Brawlers, and we got a little bit of Battlecast, too. We said we really wouldn't be seeing a ton of those.
No, and we're not really. It's just in because the allowy for the Brawler and then the Nocturne to buff this Zed up, Zed being the item carrier, as we see going up against Duo Q Abuser. The Zed's pretty strong. Nocturne Fear was able to take out the Lucian, and Zed cleans up the rest. SleetTFT, while he is fairly low, is not the weakest in the lobby. Gunmay, I know, I want to check back in with him really quick. Is on 40 HP, wasn't 40 HP last round, but did win and had found a Jace 2 I know I had seen. Okay, let's have Cassiopeia. So he was rolling to try to find some more of those Vanguards and some more of those Cassiopeias. Bards as well, actually. Those are going to be generating much needed experience.
Yep, Gunmay, the last person to win a lobby with Space Jam. And at this set 3 weeks ago, I remember. Now
True, speaking of, there's another Darius too right here.
And that's why I bring it up, right? It's just like, if someone is gonna do it, It's Gunmay, and
It's
like the thing
Gunmay.
about the Darius is that it's probably going to be uncontested. That his space pirate, his synergies just don't really work that well in this meta unless you're building around him specifically. And we
Yeah.
might actually see that happen carry through the mid game. And actually, as we go back to Little Legends and its effect on a lot of this, is maybe we can assume that there's not as much HP on the board, and Darius is going to be stronger at this point in the game, and you can be a little bit safer to transition to that cast carry a little while later on, and just develop a little bit extra money, because any extra money in Little Legends is great.
Yeah, especially because he rolled down, and to hit some upgrades, stabilize, you need to be able to maintain and make that gold back. Chose to take a Cassiopeia on this carousel, opting to go that over the bow for potential perfect item Cassiopeia, or perfect items for the Jace with that GA. Maybe we'll roll down here until he hits that T2. I'm curious. Probably not though. Gunmay, he's still pretty strong. I was very concerned in that last round because the Zed jumped onto the Cassiopeia pretty early on. But I mean, the tier 2 Jace and the tier 2 Darius did a lot of work in cleaning up.
Perfect items on that cast. It'd be remiss of him to not try to build into that at least a little bit. And with the other Vanguard, with the Jace and the Bard as the Mystic, you're getting a little bit of defense from everything for these next few rounds. That actually might be really nice for a player like Gunmay and this Darius and this Jace to potentially bring him into that late game, because he's just got a little bit of cushion with those two Vanguards and those two Mystics.
Oh man, Cassiopeia versus Cassiopeia. What is even happening on my screen here? It's going to be the victor from Treebeard, barely taking that round. Gunmay unfortunately cannot go on a win streak here and drops even lower. Lowest in the lobby still, even within the past couple of rounds, on 37 HP currently. But Exkeepcalling, another Cassiopeia player. How many Cassiopeia players do we have in this lobby? It's at least 3.
I mean, everyone's a Cassiopeia player when you see her.
Yeah,
and then you put her on, I mean, it's just like, it's one of those openings that, when you're kind of figuring out your opening play, you want to get some type of solid, feel under your feet, right? And when you see kind of like these linchpin carries, especially in the early game, Vayne and Cass are the ones that pop into my mind immediately. You kind of gravitate towards that, and you start building towards it, as opposed to maybe committing to Vanguards early and staying there. But I think when you see the Cass, especially early on, you're like, I have to take it. I have to take this Cass right now.
Yeah, I actually don't. Looking at Exkeepcalling's board and items and everything, I don't think this is a very committal Cassiopeia. I think it's just a transitional one. It works well because of the 4 battle casts actually being played right now. Oh, speaking of that, maybe Exkeepcalling's gonna go battle cast, but I don't think so. What I was going to say is it's probably transitional into things like a Jinx, put that Morello's on an Aurelion Soul later. But is Little Legends, so is Exkeepcalling going to get to that point? Or do we see our first attempt at making a 4 or even 6 battlecast composition work here?
An attempt is only an attempt until it's successful. So we'll hold judgment for Battlecast until we actually see it happen, though. It would be cool just to kind of see someone like him pilot a Battlecast comp as we get another tier that's going to be a blue buff for Cass. So we got the Cass items.
If there's any time to do it, I suppose it is now. You have decent items on the Kog'Maw. You have good items on the Cassiopeia. You have a tier 2 Cog. X. I mean, the Nocturne's probably gonna have to turn to something else, so I don't imagine it would be 6 Battlecast, because just having that 1 IE on the Nocturne is not great. I would actually even consider selling that, dropping down to 2 Battlecast and putting the IE on the Kog'Maw, just because the Last Whisper IE synergy there.
Is this going to happen? Is this real life, Khroen? Are we going to see the Battlecast take the W? The answer is no, because it's no. It's no.
No.
Yeah, it was close. The close only counts in horseshoes, and I forgot the second half of that. So okay, there it was, because I almost said horses, and I knew that was incorrect.
Horseshoes and hand grenades. There you go.
Clothes only counts in horseshoes and horses, everybody. As we're going over to a Wolfey who has stabilized a little bit, or more so, Gunmay has dropped below him this
Yeah.
time around. I do like that he's got the Bard. He's at level 7, 32 HP, so it's not over. He's got the Vayne. The items could be better. He's at least he's got Last Whisper. Giant Slayer, not my favorite item on Vayne because she's not. I feel like you need attack speed to really get Giant Slayer going. And with the way her tumble works, where it's just a flat kind of attack damage modifier, that's where the IE comes into play. But he's got that. He's got the glove, so he could potentially get that IE. And is this Vayne going to be enough?
Gonna be looking for that IE, but during this fight, I don't think the Vayne will be enough. And yeah, no, it falls. Teemo trying his best to slow these units as they come in, but they were much too tanky. Wolfey here, you said you like the Bard. The Bard's decent because it provides 3 Astro right now, but I don't think the Bard's something that he wants to have in for too long. But we'll have to see if he's able to actually stabilize, because dropping to 26 HP, very, very low, just above Gunmay at 25, and just below Sleet. Sleet at 27. Sleet dropping pretty low as well. A little bit of a struggle here tonight for Sleet.
Duo Q Abuser switching up a lot of things in his comp right now. Gonna go ahead and switch over to some Brawler Blasters, which is a really strong comp, and deciding to fully transition into it. Has the items on the Lucian. Lucian is about to start getting weaker at this point, from this point on, but seems to have a little bit more power left in that power budget to bring him a victory. This is still pretty close. I mean, this is honestly a pretty slow little legends compared to some of the ones I've seen, as Treebeard and Sphinx find themselves as the top 2 on fire.
Yeah, both win streaking. I think the Giant Slayer is pretty good, specifically in that matchup versus the mech, because it will proc its extra damage because the mech HP pool is so high. Sleet grabbing a vest, and Wolfey grabbing that rod. I want to check in back with Sleet and Wolfey after this, because they are getting very low right now and might be eliminated soon. Seems as though Gunmay has stabilized for now. But after that, Sphinx and Treebeard, they are win streaking right now. Sphinx having 6 sorcerers, as we see on the side there with the Riven. Oh yeah, perfect item Riven. Has a chalice on that Syndra in the back there with a Victor too. There's no doubt in my mind that this is going to be a comp that's going into the top 4 for Sphinx.
When we go back to Sphinx a little later, because he'll be around for a while, I definitely want to talk about Chalice as an item, because that's something that's been super popping up way more frequently, at least in my games. And so we'll talk about why we're seeing it in this one. But first, our friend Wolfey is hopefully not trying to catch all those 8th places, and instead tries to get into those top 4s, as I do a terrible Pokemon pun. As Wolfey sitting at 14 HP, Cybernetic Vanguard is going to be the name of the game for him. Has the Vayne with Giant Slayer Ionic. I wonder where the other one went. Maybe got another Vayne and took the gloves off to put on someone else?
I'm not 100% sure, but okay, we will see after this round. I wonder where that did go. Was it? I actually don't know. What looks good right now? Oh, it's Last Whisper that was popped off and put into the Aurelia. Okay.
Yep.
Cool. Confused that. Okay, Wolfey sold the Lucian there, and doesn't have 6 cybernetic anymore. Leveled up.
Oh no, he just realized. I think he just realized. Maybe thought he was. I've done this before.
Wait, never.
Wow. The heart of the cards compels him. All right, will this last Lucian finally come in? I think he meant to sell Fiora, maybe? Oh, and the Lucian actually does get hit by the Strata Stillness. The hitbox on that is a little questionable. The Vayne needs to be able to stay alive for as long as possible, and we're actually seeing a really good example as to the Giant Slayer versus Infinity Edge choice on someone like Vayne. And I think that ends up biting him in the end as an 8th place now for our buddy Wolfey. It's going to be much harder for him to get to that top 4. But with this lobby, you never know. He hits a victory on that last lobby. He might sneak in to that 3rd place. But we've got Sphinx in 1st place, Duo Q Abuser in 2nd, Treebeard in 3rd. But it's pretty close, honestly. Outside of Sphinx, everyone below him can shuffle around.
Yeah, Wolfie had dodged 8th place up until now, so I thought there was some promise, but unfortunately, 8th was in the cards there for him. LastKardax on a 5-loss streak, so maybe going to be joining that bottom 4 here soon. Only has a Jinx 1 and doesn't have that much gold to roll with to find that Jinx 2. This is Little Legend, so players would have been rolling down already to try to find these units and stabilize. The fact of the matter is that LastKardax did not stabilize, not
No.
at all.
Oh, does
Riven
find
2,
Riven
but
2.
it doesn't need that one.
Because the other Rivens are
That's not the forecast that he was looking for.
no. Ah, man. Do you
Maybe
take out the
so.
Eds, take down the Blaster? No, you take the Yi out instead. Keep the Blade Masters going. Has, again, a smattering. He likes smattering those comps on his board. All right, LastKardax, 18 HP. Let's see what you can do with it. He's going up against that mech who has Ionic Spire. It's very defensive right now as SleetTFT trying to stabilize right below LastKardax. So this is the fight for 7th place right now. That Jinx with that Giant Slayer doing work against that mech, but she's going to be working much more than 9 to 5, putting it in a little bit of overtime, eliminating SleetTFT. LastKardax staying in the game, but that was a little too close for comfort. The other ones are going to be a little harder than that.
Yeah, Sleet unfortunately having 2 bottom 4 games in a row there was I believe had gotten 5th in last game, but now 7th in this one. So Sleet, a player that we were looking at to, join the likes of Gunmay in terms of his
Yeah.
consistency, breaking records, not really living up to that expectation tonight, unfortunately.
All right, so we've got some good items on Cassiopeia on both sides. So it looks like we've got a little bit of a mirror image going on. Instead of a Quicksilver, it's going to be a Giant Slayer for Treebeard, and both Treebeard and Sphinx losing in the end. So, everything is up and ripe for the taking as we get another ASL. We got the Murder Hornets coming on out, and Urgot is going to have a
Oh,
little
yeah.
bit of snake. Have you ever eaten snake, by the way, Khroen?
I don't think that I have actually, no.
Yeah, I've had fried rattlesnake before. It's good. I actually really, really like it. I don't know if anyone in chat has ever had like fried rattlesnake or rattlesnake jerky, but it's pretty good. If you ever go to Louisiana, you should try it.
I wasn't really expecting that one. Definitely caught me off guard, but Urgot eating the Cassiopeia, maybe has a little bit inclination of what that taste
My
is like.
my mind works in mysterious ways, Khroen. This is the same guy who's been trying to run 8 battle cats for 2 days now, and it's not working.
True. No, it does. That's why we haven't seen it here.
Yep.
There's only 2 battle casts on the board for Gunmay, as that's about as many as you can rightfully fit into your composition. Gunmay and Exkeepcalling pretty low here. Gunmay probably wins this as it's looking pretty good right now. The Thresh 2 only had 1 unit to pull in, but that is okay. The poison actually, Urgot. Okay, Urgot's able to take that. That was a lot closer than I thought it would be, and so
Yeah.
Exkeepcalling lives. But that Cassiopeia damage, actually, the nerfs we saw pretty heavily in that fight there. The amount the fact that it takes 2 more seconds to spread the full amount of damage that Cassiopeia was doing, made it so that the Vayne was able to pump out enough damage till she died to make that fight super, super close. LastKardax also dropping in 6th place there, though, as Exkeepcalling drops to 3 HP.
All right. We have got Exkeepcalling now at 3 HP, looking at Gummy's comp. Gets the Rabadon, so that should be a pretty good boon to any magic damage dealers on his bench. And looking at the way that other people are approaching this carousel, it's all about that percent health damage. You got that Giant Slayer going somewhere else. And where is this Rabadon's going? Maybe on the Teemo?
Probably the Teemo. I wonder, I suppose last game it wasn't just the units that Exkeepcalling found. It seems though this is the composition that Exkeepcalling likes. And it got a top 4 last game. Can it do the same now? I'm not as confident that it can. This front line is not as good as it was looking last game. There's not the Frozen Hearts on the Vi. The Teemo, though, and the Vayne are stronger than last game, though, but is it enough with that weakened front line?
We shall see. Oh, the Shroud of Stillness only gets the frontliners, and I'm really looking at where these satellite shrooms are going to be going. And if you at home aren't already annoyed by Teemo enough, almost single-handedly brings, a victory here for Exkeepcalling. If he stays alive for a little while longer, get some shrooms into the back line, this might be a little different, but Treebeard is going to eliminate him anyway. And
Yep.
I like the cyber sniper sniper composition that he was going for. Why did we see such a different result this time around?
I don't think it's a very good composition, to be completely honest with you. I think it is lacking in a lot of ways. I thought last game was a composition that X Keep Calling went because he just happened to roll those units and that would have made the strong sport at the time and just rolled with it to try to get a top four. But actively seeking that composition, I just don't think it's as strong. I don't think it matches up to the likes of a composition, even like this of Treebeard, even though this is also unorthodox. I think this is unorthodox in a better way.
That makes
Um,
sense.
and we'll see if I'm actually correct or not on that, as the Victor tears through the composition of Duo Q Abuser, and I think will eliminate Duo Q Abuser in fourth place here. And yeah, we'll definitely do that. Cassiopeia and Victor are about hand in hand in damage there, 4,500 to 4,800, almost similar.
Props
Bloodthirster.
props
Yeah.
to Gunmay for real. He has literally been on the bottom side of this leaderboard, I think, since he was at 40 HP, and
True.
finds himself in the top 3. Sphinx, who has been sitting pretty almost the entire time, you said it yourself, you'd be surprised if he didn't at least top 4. He's competing to win the lobby. Gunmay now at 4 HP. We're gonna be seeing Kane here, that Bloodthirster. It's gonna help someone stay alive for a little while longer. Treebeard, he's got brawlers. He's got that Astro. I love Gnar. I love the fact that Gnar has some magic damage and is got a little bit of utility, so he can tank a little bit better as well.
Definitely. And yeah, looking at this Gunmay composition, this is one that only has 2 mystics, so not running the 4. And that's gonna be a little bit of a negative going up against Sphinx, because Sphinx is the whole sort comp. If Gunmay goes against that, I'm pretty sure he just loses. Does he then take out though 2 Vanguards to put these 2 Mystics in? I kind of like it, but I don't think he will do that. Okay, faces. Yeah, actually, both these comps that would be good against 4 Mystics would be better, I think, than 4 Vanguards. But we'll see if that's if he's gonna get punished for that one or not.
Sphinx loves running the Vanguards. He ran 6 Vanguards a little earlier today. Maybe likes going that direction, but I think you're right. I think you got to build against the lobby, and maybe he's waiting for someone to drop out, but he's gotten to see it, and maybe this ghost might get him some confidence too, because he won that pretty handily, and he's now competing for second place. Some good stuff from Gunmay. You gotta really give him some credit, because it can be really nerve wracking for eighth, being in 8th place for so long, and he's made it up here in 3rd place in such a volatile lobby. All of these players you got to give credit for who've made it to the top 3, because we said how important this game was.
Definitely, it is very, very important, and Gunmay knows how to perform in tournament games under pressure, so he has done very, very well at doing that all while being low HP here. If he goes up against Sphinx, though, it might be lights out. The 4 Mystics do not go in, but just a little bit of repositioning here as this matchup does occur.
Sphinx versus Gunmay. You called it, Khroen. Who will come out on top? Double chalice, too, for Sphinx. I definitely want to talk about that a little while later, as Urgot eats just a low priority target, and that Victor tried to laser everyone down, but it's going to actually be the Riven pulling out a lot of the weight instead, as Gunmay is going to get eliminated. Are we seeing a double elimination? Yes, we do, as Sphinx gets a twofer and finishes in first place. His tried and true Kiki showing up on that victory screen. 10 points for Sphinx boy.
Wow, these scores, I'm excited to see them momentarily, but Sphinx winning that lobby, getting a very, very good start there. I had said I would be surprised Sphinx, isn't in the top 4, but it was even as dominant as to win the lobby there. Gunmay's clone actually took out Treebeard there, so a little unfortunate that Gunmay got 3rd and Treebeard got 2nd for Gunmay, but still, it's just the power when you face those sorcerers, none of the 4 Mystic in.
Yep. So let's talk about Chalice, actually, because that used to be the Chalice of Favor with a mana printer with Soda. Now it's the Chalice of Power, I think. It's the pink one. So tell us about how that's kind of taken over the scene. I've been seeing it a lot in my games. I've been seeing it a lot on streams.
Yeah.
What do you think of it?
Giving that initial spell power to 3 units for the first, what is it, like 20 seconds of the fight, I believe, is very, very strong, especially in those sorcerer compositions. Syndra, even when she's casting her first ultimate there, and they were they were on the Syndra there, she's gonna be one-shotting units, and Victor's gonna be one-shotting units, and whatever's next to her are gonna be one-shotting units. That AP with the spell power bonus of 6 orcs is just massively insane, and it gives starting mana to the unit that holds them as well. But we do have the scores updated and ready to show to you all, and I'm excited to look at these, and it is a close race for the top 3. Treebeard, 24 points. That consistency, getting that second place barely over that third. Very, very huge over Gunmay. Actually might end up deciding this lobby, but I'm getting ahead of myself here. Gunmay, 21 points. Sphinx with 20 winning that lobby is really, really catching up here. But Sleet falling pretty far behind with that 7th place there. 14 points, and we have a 3-way tie actually for 5th with LastKardax, Exkeepcalling, and Duo Abuser. So top 4 is actually still attainable by everybody technically. No, actually,
well, if Wolfey beats Sleet and they tie, and Sleet gets 8th, Wolfey gets 10, they tie at 15, Wolfey would get the 4th spot.
LastKardax, Exkeepcalling, and Duo Abuser, one of those is getting enough points to guarantee to get above that because they're all tied. I missed that for a moment. Yeah, so Wolfey actually cannot get top 4, unfortunately, with that 8th place there. But maybe just a game for, pride's sake in getting a top 4 placement in there. Still want to see Wolfey do well on one of these.
Khroen, I am so excited for this lobby. And now that we've got a little bit of separation, we've got kind of like a top 3 lobby and then kind of like everybody else, right? Or top 2 with Sphinx sitting pretty at the top. I'd love to see him take the W here and break the curse officially like the Cubs did back in the day. And one thing that's really interesting to me is just like how different lobbies week to week like feel and sound. Like I have a great time every week, but this lobby in particular has, I feel like, run the gambit of slow comps, fast comps, weak comps in the late game. You know what I mean? Because that second lobby was odd in a sense that you were right, like no one was strong. Up until like the very, very end. That time around, that was one of the longer, littler legends that I've gotten to experience. We had a lot of people at level 8 already. And it's just really cool to see how these lobbies over time, even just from when I've been here, just consistently the quality gets better and better. The players get better and better, and getting in the top 3 gets harder and harder. And you got to really, really give props to the people who make it, because this is a stacked lobby, guys. Like just by like looking at how these players are making decisions and playing, I've liked it so far. As Galactic Armory is going to be the Galaxy 4 for 4 today, Khroen.
We do. I think is it the first time we've had 4 for 4 galaxies?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Maybe it is. But we get another one nonetheless. I'm curious to see what these items are, because they are going to be telling of what the entire lobby is trying to go. It is Last Whisper Bloodthirster, so I don't think we're going to be seeing many sorcerer compositions here. But perhaps a lot of cybernetics. I actually think that with the Bloodthirster buff, it's not a bad item to go on either Vayne or Irelia, and you get 2 extra items to itemize your carries with going cybernetics here. So it's a lot easier to spread those components out to get full items that you do want on all of your cybernetics. So huge.
But this lobby hasn't really favored that comp. I mean, we saw cybernetics upon cybernetics over the last 2 weeks. This time around, there's definitely been a lot less of that, a lot less of Vayne, a lot less of snipers. Just in general, like no Jins whatsoever. And it I think just goes to show how the meta can slowly evolve over time, where certain comps become a little bit more dominant and a little bit more consistent. I mean, even at the beginning, I said, I think it was either at the beginning of the cast or before the cast, I was like, Vayne slotting into the 3 spot in Cybers makes the skill expression a little bit worse. And maybe I'm wrong, because if it was so easy, right, to just run it, we would see a lot more of it in this lobby.
So I do think that this lobby, I think cybernetics are still very good. I think this lobby just hasn't had that many opportunities for cybernetics to really shine as much as they should. So I think it's kind of just like it happens to be what's going on over the course of this night. We saw a couple of people running them in one of the games and them testing each other, but we saw a little bit of low rolling happening, and Sleet lose streaking cybernetics, which always feels bad. Like, that was happening even when cybers were very, very popular. If you were contesting everybody and just didn't hit your veins or whatnot, you'd be pretty weak and you would be eliminated, because the veins goal is to get you through the early mid game win streaking. You can hit your 6 cybers easier. You can get to late game at level 8 and even level 9, have your Echo 2 in, because Echo is just a really good unit now, and have your Threshes in to be pulling in your Urgots. Thresh is a little bit nerfed, so that's probably the reason why it's not quite as good. Echo a little bit nerfed, I believe, actually, as well. But yeah, I mean, all in all, I think it's still a strong composition, though. We just haven't seen it, just kind of because tonight people haven't really gotten that start for it.
It happens, right? I mean, during like the whole mech phase, you either saw like a ton of it and everyone was contesting it, and the mech players just held hands at 7th and 8th, right? Or it wins the lobby. I think there can be some similarities drawn between some of the stronger comps in the past, and I think that goes to show that there's some good balance that's happening, right? When a comp can kind of move in and out of lobbies like that, but it's also good to see that cybernetics aren't just kind of like you slam it in, you get top 4. We've seen it struggle today. Yeah. And there's always a counter. There's always a comp that could potentially beat it. And Sleet getting his Lucian, holding on to those items, it's already looking a little bit like that cybernetic opportunity for his side. But he's got some blasters, he's got some other ones, but that Lucian getting stacked, it's going to be blasters and probably cybernetics is what I'm thinking. Exkeepcalling got the Vanguards and the Chronos, very common openings. But this Galactic Armory, is there a Galactic Armory where you can get like an AD and an AP item, or are they always the same?
On Armory specifically?
Yeah, like is it always 2 AD items?
No, you can get AD and AP. That's very, very possible. LastKardax here has very, very good items with this. I would like to see this Ezreal actually be sold. I don't like the fact that LastKardax stacked all these items in Ezreal. He's not the best unit to carry these. He is more of a utility unit and not as much of a carry unit. It would feel unfortunate to sell this Ezreal because he is a good unit. But Elaine won the first round. We'll see if it's strong enough to win the second round. He's trying to hover over these Blitzcranks, but does not have the gold to buy them. Wolfie here. Carrying
and even the utility not really hitting much, as the EMP only hits the Nocturne, who is already ulting. Plus Malphite doesn't have mana, so I don't know if Wolfie has just lucked into a positioning literally perfectly for this comp, but it still might not end up winning it out, as I think just the Bloodthirster and the IE Last Whisper combo is strong, but Taste the Fear is going to help Wolfie out in what has got to be one of the weirdest battles I've seen in TFT. Nocturne versus stacked Ezreal. Yeah. Last time you saw that.
I was going to be like, oh, what are you talking about, Boop? I think that Ezreal actually has it after all, but then the Nocturne with the ultimate there, and I was like, oh, never mind. Ezreal is actually just dead because he's an Ezreal, and it was not kiting at all, just in the back line. It's not a Lucian.
Yeah.
Check out Bobby directly after.
Speaking of carry Ezreal, though, I did actually lose. This person won the lobby, was running Star Guardian Ezreal, and no one could ult. It was awful.
AoE mana is pretty good, to be honest. Especially when you're casting it over and over again throughout all of the units there.
Yep.
It could, troll and hit a random unit in the corner, because Ezreal's only one of the only units who targets randomly, but still, like, it's usually gonna hit very well.
All right, we're at 2-3 right now. Treebeard against DuoQ Abuser, and Treebeard with his own Last Whisper, Bloodthirster, Nocturne in the back line should be taking DuoQ Abuser out. We're all just jostling for position right now as DuoQ Abuser. If I was talking to my parents and saying, I'm just inting on purpose, I wanted to pick first on Carousel, that was all intentional. As we look over at Wolfie real quick, who is having himself a little bit better of a game, and I'm glad to see it. You don't like someone struggling through an entire 4-game lobby, but I love, this is one of my favorite things, and you've only known me for a little while, but you probably know already that I like to be a little bit of a spoiler. I love being annoying, and Wolfie right now is in such a great place to be that spoiler for one of our top 3 members, or maybe even knocking someone out of that 3rd spot. And I relish that even sometimes more than a victory. I don't know, maybe I'm an awful person, but Wolfie can definitely play that role here against Sphinx Gunmay, and Treebeard for the top 3, and that means that it's time to shine. You've got some good items onto that Malphite along with your Nocturne in the backline. This is a good opener. I think you can carry yourself at least a couple more rounds, and your economy's looking pretty good.
Yeah, win streaking last couple of rounds, still level 4, has a decent amount of gold. These Nocturnes, I mean, I don't really like that Nocturne 1 being in there, but I guess honestly there's not really too much else to play unless it's like a Ziggs one in terms of the damage. Those are some pretty scrumptious looking mech items on that Malphite. Always the goal, I think, with Wolfey to go that mech, especially with the itemization priorities that he has.
Yep.
And very much like you said, play spoiler this game, you know? The pressure is kind of like off in a sense, like, yeah, it sucks. There's no way you can get top 4. It's kind of just, you know, playing for fun at this point a little bit, playing for pride. But maybe even Wolfey's doing better right now in this situation. Maybe it's because he rolled a bit of a better early game than previously.
Yeah.
Wolfey's towards top of the lobby regardless.
Yeah, gotta love it as we see Sphinx now. And I think he got a 3-point lead going into this lobby. So he really wants to finish in those top 2 spots, which I think secures him that first place. But anything lower than that, it's up for grabs. So that's what Gunmay and Treebeard are looking at too. Maybe it's time for them to kind of focus down Sphinx, force him to finish below those 2. They can kind of make a gentleman's agreement, maybe some whispers in the client. But no, we're all good friends here as Sphinx, sitting at 86 HP, has that Rebel Infiltrator, has been pretty variable in what he's running so far today.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, Sphinx, yeah, going to this, he's 20 points. So yeah, so Treebeard's leading. Sphinx 4 points behind.
Oh, Treebeard, that's what.
Yeah. Treebeard in first place currently. So maybe a different team up has to happen here now. But Sphinx going to be winning this round and making econ, which is pretty important. Has that Zed as the item carrier. And with the Bloodthirster buffs, like, it's actually making Bloodthirster pretty solid of an item. Because everyone's forced to play here, obviously, but it's like not performing poorly, I would say. Even towards the beginning of the game, Lucian, I believe it was the same Lucian from Sleet, tanked a full Caitlyn ulti and lived because, you know, the BT is made of a cloak. It gives a little bit of MR there. So just a little bit of extra value that you wouldn't usually expect or see, perhaps.
Yeah, and anytime an item gets like percent-based buffs, like the Bloodthirster did, got 5% more healing from 40 to 45, it's gonna get stronger as actually time goes on when they start doing more damage, when 5% is just a bigger number. And I think that these kinds of changes are good because Bloodthirster is also not an item that you can kind of put on. Remember, like, old school Draven Bloodthirster that you just live forever?
Oh yeah.
And that's not what this is anymore. Bloodthirster is kind of like an in combination item, like IE Last Whisper, right? Kind of like that bread and butter. But I think Bloodthirster is still trying to find its kind of partner in crime, just like IE and Last Whisper have had. And this buff, though, is a great way to do it because it's going to help in the early game. It's going to help in the mid and late game. It's just, would you rather have more damage or would you rather have a little bit more sustain? For this current meta is the question I think you have to go through if you're looking at a Hextech or a Bloodthirster.
Definitely so. I think it has a lot of value there. I'm curious about Sleet's positioning, as I think he's positioning for a couple specific matchups. Gets a good Zephyr regardless, though, onto that Poppy from Exkeepcalling. And Sleet definitely wants to maintain that win streak right now. Get that 40 gold. I think he'll probably go 40 anyway. But Exkeepcalling has a carry Bard right now. Bard carrying the Last Whisper and the BT. Not really what's going to be winning too many rounds. And a big reason why we see Exkeepcalling going to drop below 70 HP here, I believe. Yeah, regardless, we'll drop below 70. Maybe you can actually kill this Graves. Does so and drops to, I think it's 69. Yeah, does that. Duo Q abuser a little bit lower though, 68.
69 and 68 are on the bottom of the totem pole. We got Sleet at 100, Kardax at 98. Kardax has had a little bit of a hard time in the middle of the pack for a lot of tonight, but this time finding himself on fire. They're going to continue to let it burn. And what's up, Khroen?
This is a double ribbon roll on 6 for Exkeepcalling here. Sometimes I'm just like, ooh, like I can't help but focus and hone in on the things that are happening on the.
Yeah, it's like when I saw the 1 out of 20 earlier, I literally couldn't look at anything else on that XP. It was literally all I could see. Exkeepcalling now gets 2 Rivens in that pack, and that should definitely help him out a little while later, but he's already got that 4 Vanguard, so he's going to have to transition into something a little bit later. And I love the fact that this Bard has the Last Whisper Bloodthirster, and you're seeing, even on the Bard, the Bloodthirster working out just a little bit. Some extra utility means a little bit of extra time to spit a meep out your horn.
Yep. Okay, gets to an even number of XP there. Good job, Bard. I have to be tilted about odd number of XP.
I know, man. It wasn't that bad for me until recently when I saw it like on my own XP bar when I was playing Bard. I was like, this can't happen. And now it's just like a can't unsee type of situation, like the FedEx hero. But Exkeepcalling now going to go ahead and switch off some of those items. Those 2 Rivens, I think, really said, you know what? Let's go ahead and try to find a way to fit this Riven into this team comp. But these item holders, the Jace, good person to have items, but these particular items are interesting. Well, probably going to be seeing that transition out at some point too.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm seeing the Cassiopeia on Exkeepcalling's bench here, or or in the shop rather, and I see the fact that he has Morellos and a tier, and 4 Vanguards. So I actually would like to see Exkeepcalling not tunnel on the Riven. I mean, I don't know if Exkeepcalling is going to tunnel on the Riven, but I would like to at least see his Cassiopeia picked up. You don't lose econ for it, so it always can be an option, especially if you randomly roll like 2 Cassiopeias in the next shop. I would 100% want to pivot. Okay, and yeah, it does buy it there. Maybe can even consider picking up a tier on this carousel. There is a tier there that we just briefly saw. It is on the Saranka. So after Duo-Q Abuser and Treebeard pick first, because they are bottom of the lobby in HP, we'll see what decision Exkeepcalling is going to make. And it is that tier, so I think it actually will be a swap over to Cassiopeia, and I like that direction a lot.
I literally just got his name. Exkeepcalling. It was all just one word for me this entire team. Yeah, and I literally was just like, oh, Exkeepcalling. I get it now. I get it now. I also didn't know the Burger King burger was a burger for like 15 years. Anyway, I'm employed and married. So if that helps you guys out who are listening, you know, like that should give y'all hope. If I can do it, so can you. This top knot has a husband. All right, so Exkeepcalling, not anymore, my friends. As now I understand it, and missing so many joking opportunities. I feel bad for myself. But back to the game. We got the Soraka on the bench, keeping it up with that tier. Vanguards still trying to do the work. I like the Locket. Some interesting item choices still. But what are you thinking about Locket and Zeeks in terms of this meta?
Locket and Zeeks, don't really like them. If you have to slam them, sure, go for it. You can get away with it, but they're not really that strong. Overall, there's items that do outclass them, unfortunately. It's not like we've, have the Locket metas of like set 1 or anything. Looking at what Exkeepcalling is doing here, though, decided to make the blue buff, has picked up the Bard and the Cassiopeia, but is not committing to those units yet, and put the blue buff on the Poppy. Of course, when you do go Vanguard Mystics, you do sell the Poppy later on when you find, the Nautilus, Mord, Jace, and Wukong. But there might be a bit of a time before Exkeepcalling is going to be able to find those. It's probably going to be a level 7 roll down, and Exkeepcalling just kind of plays what he hits, and so I'm curious to check back in with him after the Wolves.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at our friend. It looks like Gunmay.
Yeah.
Sleet will be around for a bit, so we'll check that out in a sec. Gunmay now, yeah, 100 HP, 71 for Gunmay. Has the 4-piece on the Brawlers, has the Infiltrator as well. Is that something that we might stick around for a bit, or are we just holding items right now?
Probably just holding items right now, I think, because that's a really good unit to do that. And usually when Zed holds items, they are going to be for a Jinx. Especially with Gunmay having 4 Brawlers there and some Brawlers on the opposite side from Sphinx there. Probably will sell this Victor, I would assume, for 30 gold. But maybe Gunmay's going to do something a little tricky here. He is falling in HP. He doesn't have that much money and chooses to keep it.
It's actually interesting. So why buy the units there just to sell it back to 30 a little while later? What was Gunmay thinking?
So if you ever have extra gold, you want to buy the units in the shop because it decreases the chance that you find those same units that you don't want. It increases the chance in the next shop that you find the units that you do actually want. So a little bit of min-maxing there. You should theoretically always do that if you can, if you're
Hmm.
thinking about it and have the gold too. So
All right.
uh, I don't know if he's really fighting direction here. He picked up a couple cybers, said nope, I don't want those. And we'll check back in and see what he does soon. But Exkeepcalling, the choices are here. You can make Jace 2, can make Annie 2, and can make Bard 2. But what do you
Oh
do? I
no.
actually sold the Cassiopeia. Didn't quite see that until now. Wow. Okay.
Wow.
Jace
All
2 of
right.
these items. I don't like this, but hopefully it'll work out for Exkeepcalling. I'm not really sure. Like, who's your carry here, right? Like, Jace isn't going to be your carry holding the Last Whisper BT. Is Irelia going to be your carry? You only have one Irelia. You don't have that many cybernetics.
Hmm.
You
And
just
she's
like
not the
really
best
have no
carry right
direction
now,
here.
anyway.
Yeah, no.
Vayne, I think, is a much more consistent character in kind of those pieces. I actually have stopped building items on Irelia recently. I might just my one item for cybernetics, but
Yep.
it's just she dies really quickly now, and like especially if like there's a Teemo on the other side, all she does is just cause damage for your opponents or for yourself by like just dashing over those shrooms. So definitely have some more on the negative side of opinions for Irelia as Exkeepcalling will fall. That was a little bit closer. That Lucian from Sleet from way back when, holding those items, still on the board as a tier 1. But Exkeepcalling and a lot of other people in this lobby right now sitting over 50 gold, which is where you kind of want to be at this point, giving yourself an option to either spend it or keep it for a little while later. Where are these power spikes kind of looking right now for some of these players?
In terms of when they're going to reach them?
Yeah, yeah. In terms of like, who do you think is going to get kind of like the tempo first?
I mean, whoever rolls down in 4-3 and hits, I suppose, for all those players that are going to 8
Forehead, yeah.
right now. We're on 4-2, but it's really hard to say who's gonna reach that power spike because people are gonna be rolling for very similar units. We see Exkeepcalling facing up against Wolfey, and his HP is not bad right now. Still has the really tanky Malphite in the front there, has not found the full mech yet, but will be rolling down, I believe, either next round. I mean, it should be next round to try to stabilize. Actually, why don't we check in with Wolfey a little bit, see how this turn is looking for him momentarily here. Yeah, we see on the side a lot of people going to level 8, checking out Sphinx. Sphinx though is going Jinx.
He just rumble 2'd, so he's definitely going for that mech. And just for you guys at home too, there are definitely some hints that you get from the scoreboard there. So like, say you're not as good at scouting as as some of these players are. Sometimes that picture of rumble, if you see rumble 2 comes out, that gives you enough information to kind of work with before the round starts, and then you can scout them then. But that's just one of those pro tips again, as we kind of try to build those into these casts to try to make everyone a little bit better at the game. And someone who is very good at the game, that is Vayne in the back line. Last Whisper Bloodthirster, IE. That is a terrifying looking Vayne. And when you see her spinning like that, that means she gave you the willies, my friends, as she takes the victory.
Yeah, I was even talking earlier about the fact that Vayne is actually not a bad item holder for that Bloodthirster, and everyone has one from Galactic Armory, so might as well get the best use of it that you can. Once Vayne has that Last Whisper IE, generally you at that point start itemizing your other cybers, so you can leave that last slot open for maybe a carousel item in the future, but you already have it in the form of the Bloodthirster there, getting a lot of value, just flat AD, a little bit of MR for the tankiness, healing up once you de-aggro, because you're already going to be taking damage, but then you can heal up
very
afterwards.
good. Yep, and then after you tumble, it's that percent increase on the
Mhm.
attack damage, which is just the 45% of your Bloodthirster.
Yep.
Bloodthirst is definitely something that I'm going to be considering, like definitely experimenting on Vayne a little while later, because again, I think just the way her kit works, just that flat damage works so good for her. That's the IE and the Last Whisper's already given her, and then you add a little bit of sustain with that Bloodthirster, she might be even more complicated to kill. That de-aggroing, man, that can definitely get under your skin. It's all all about being able to keep her safe, though, because Urgots can definitely take her down. If someone gets into the backline, some infiltrators, which we don't see as often. We can see Fizz potentially get her with Chum the Waters, but I think I like this Bloodthirster pick with this Vayne. Instead of trying to do something fancy, just give her what we already have.
Yeah, definitely. I like it a lot as well. Gunmay with mech and a Shaco holding all these AD items with a Victor in the back. I think this is a good comp from Gunmay, and it's working out here, at least against Exkeepcalling. But I don't actually think it's that big of a feat to beat Exkeepcalling right now, because if I'm looking at Exkeepcalling's comp right now, in the words of Kiyun, I'm feeling pretty dizzy right now. I actually have no idea what's going on for X. Keep calling on this board currently. Is it going to be a few cybernetics? I guess swapping things in and out. Maybe takes out the Poppy. Yeah,
Oh, he's doing the cybernetic sniper thing.
I mean, yeah.
Hey, it was a second
he-
place earlier, Khroen. All right, I have faith. I have faith.
Was it a second? It was, huh?
Yeah, it was giving all of us, innovators hope that we can continue to innovate on this game. Morelos is going to stop that healing, but you can't let the Teemo face tank someone with a last whisper Bloodthirster, i.e. we talked about potentially those infiltrators getting into the back line, and maybe Treebeard with that Shaco has actually something in his back pocket. It might not could work this time around. I actually think it will. But I think the name of the game is maybe he sees, okay, everyone's going to be playing Vayne. Maybe I can get a Shaco in the backline burster before she tumbles.
I think that Shaco is a very good unit and kind of underrated. But the fact of the matter is that it's a lot more value to stack items on things that are not Shaco. But since you already have those extra items at the beginning, you can still be flexible in your comp, because everyone else again is going to be maybe looking for those Vaynes, those jinxes that you can make something like Shaco work. Especially if you have Treebeard's comp here, which is a good protector frontline, has a couple infills, has a couple of dark stars. Fizz is a very, very strong unit, can get that relatively early, can maybe replace it with an Echo later on at that point. But Treebeard's already doing that reroll style. Did level to 7 and didn't keep rerolling for the Xin Shao on 6, but maybe is going to continue rolling to try to tier 3 the Shaco and the Xin Shao. I wouldn't be surprised if that could actually even win a lobby.
He's got to get there, though. He's got to get to that tier 3 That's in very, very strong. But I think that tier 3 is almost a requirement to win. Top 4 is definitely still a potentiality, but if he wants to win the lobby, he's got to get that Xin just a little bit stronger. The Shroud of Stillness is a good option. I love that item. I think it's just one of those underrated. It's not super flashy, so maybe you don't really see the amount of effect that it has, but you get Shroud of Stillness and Ezreal on the same team comp. Everyone is going to get tagged with that Mana Reeve. Everyone getting tagged with that ultimate from the mech, who's going to gain a little bit of health. CC just a little while longer. They pop out. Once those mech pilots pop out, it's usually nothing to it after that, as Treebeard finds another victory.
That was really close, actually. The mech almost killed the Shaco, and then the Shaco, Treebeard Shaco won the Shaco v Shaco there, getting that deceive into that one shot. So some good fight RNG there, I suppose. Oh, Sleet's level 9 on 5-2 at 10 units on the board. Has a fawn. Kind of want to check out Sleet and how this comp has really transformed. And yeah, taking out those Cybers right now, has 4 Brawlers, 3 Chronos, even 3 Blaster. Doesn't really need the Lucian right now, but
Force of Nature as well, using double spat and just an extra Brawler just for good measure.
Yep.
As well, and he's gonna get the extra HP too, as we see Gunmay on the other side. Got a couple mechs in this game. Got some good items. Bramble with Trap Claw. I like defensive items on the mech. While it's a lot more fun to watch the mech just absolutely burst everyone like a popped pimple, right? With those AP items, it's just going to be a little bit more consistent with the defensive items. As we now see the Echo, which is definitely going to get picked up. And something that Mord said literally today in his conversation about Urgot is 5-cost units should feel 5-cost and should feel like you can use them regardless of what comp they're in, which is, I think, why units like Echo, units like Urgot can find their ways into just little itty bitty like synergies, like the double infiltrator for the Echo, not really going to be helping all that much, but Echo just such a strong unit in that ultimate. I don't think we need to say anything more about it.
Yeah, something that we should say more about, though, is the decision-making process that Sleet has here. The Aurelion Soul in the shop, the Nico, and a lot of pairs in the bench. Can he survive and greet it out? Exkeepcalling is rolled down to 0, similarly to Sleet, trying to get stronger. And Exkeepcalling's hybrid composition to those snipers is actually working out very well here, with Teemo kind of carrying that team. Irelia as well, though. Triple items. Urgot too. Exkeepcalling has stabilized. Wolfie, maybe not so lucky though. He's currently in a fight. Not sure how that's going. And yeah, Wolfie actually loses, but drops to 1. Still
Again. Yeah, 1 HP and a dream. Some good items on this carousel. We've got the Chalice of Power. We got a Jinx with a Shiv. Shiv is pretty much like is so bad late game. You might as well throw cotton balls at him. Just give him a little tickle. That's pretty much what the Static Shiv is doing in the late game. But Wolfie trying his best to avoid another 8th place. Has the tier 3 Rumble. Unfortunately for him, the time where he finally gets a little bit of momentum, there are 2 other mech players in the lobby.
I mean, 2 other mech players in the lobby and getting mech or Rumble 3 for the mech is pretty impressive. What's a little unfortunate is that the fact that it's still not gonna be enough to carry him for some wins. There is going to be a blue buff now for the Victor. That's very, very strong. Shiko has some good items. On paper, I mean, I guess if this Fizz was a Fizz too, on paper this would be super strong. Has the demo now, so it's a little bit stronger. I think Wolfie could win some matchups in this lobby for sure. Just
might struggle against some of the other mech players due to I think some of the other mechs have better items. I like Titan's Resolve along with the Bramble's Vest on the mech, as everyone does. But this Rumble 3, though, is going to be really strong when he pops out. So I think his ult does 2,000 magic damage at tier 3. They've tried really hard to make Rumble a thing outside of being a mech pilot, but that mech is just already so low. Warmogs cannot heal through a lot of that damage, but enough damage had already been done as he does end up winning around 1 HP is enough to keep his life going.
Yep, Kardax actually drops to potentially 1 hit until death. Sleet is literally on 1 HP and has such a strong composition. I actually wonder how or why Sleet is struggling so much on a 6 loss streak. He went to 9 very, I guess, aggressively, but I wouldn't even say that's too uncharacteristic for how Sleet his strength was looking.
Yeah, he's someone who gets the advantage and then keeps it. This time around, though, having a very inconsistent night. I mean, he started off and we were praising him because we thought it would happen throughout the rest of the night, but this lobby maybe getting to him a little bit. It's a stacked lobby. Poor Wolfie coming in on, in my opinion, arguably one of the stronger lobbies we've seen so far as we've casted together. And it's kind of like, welcome to the jungle, everyone. Here, let's throw you. And these are the wolves. Our wolves are named Gunmay and Treebeard. I swear they're scary, my friends, as Sleet gets a victory. But 2 people get eliminated. Neither of them are our 1 HP friends. It is Exkeepcalling going down. Seemed like he stabilized with that Teemo, but we ended up being wrong. And LastKardax finishing off in 8th place. Someone else who started off pretty strong in this lobby, but had a precipitous fall.
That he did. Wolfie hanging on for dear life along with Sleep. Both our 1 HP players live to see the beginning of round 6. I'm curious how far they can take it because potentially Treebeard and Sphinx could fall next round, so we could see both of our 1 HP players actually get top 4 here. And that'd be huge for Wolfie, not for, placements, as he can't make the top 4, but just in terms of how telling that he can really bring it back here tonight.
And how he competes and sets himself up against other people at this skill level in TFT. Again, he's transitioning from a different esport, very well known in the Pokemon community. I was told that he was getting coached by other Pokemon players, and he has been kind of in the hyperbolic time chamber of TFT, making masters in a month. And with someone as high caliber of an athlete as Wolfie is, I can guarantee you he will probably back, and we might be seeing more consistent results from him. But but on his first go around, it has been a little bit more complicated for him. Or maybe he's just waiting for a meta that mech is going to be dominant and then he can run his tried and true, gets that ult off. Now it's going to be up to this Rumble to finish the job. No, he's got a
Victor, yeah.
that Victor. Ooh, Victor's so strong when he gets the right ultimate off. He feels so overpowered.
Look, Wolfey, he's popping off right now.
Top 4! Top 4. Hell yeah, man. Congratulations, Wolfey. You deserve it. We're happy for you.
Yeah, he's definitely... you can feel the excitement there from Wolfey realizing that Sleet was about to fall. And unfortunately, Sphinx fell in 6th, Sleet fell in 5th. And those were... Sleet, I guess, actually wasn't in the running. But yeah, Gunmay, Treebeard, and Sphinx were up there. Now it's really between Gunmay and Treebeard to see what these placements are like and who's going to win, because both players could still win.
Could maybe sneak in to the top 3 if Sphinx finished high enough to avoid that. Oh no, Urgot ate the mech. That feels bad for Wolfey on the other side. But it seems like his units are going to be strong enough to Shaco. Actually, I got them switched around. So we've got Treebeard, who's actually doing it quite well right now. Look at these Shakos jumping all around. It's going to be Wolfey taking him down. Wolfey, congratulations. You got your top 4, though, as Treebeard finishes in 3rd place. And I believe this means he's very close to solidifying that victory. We'll have to make sure to see where Gunmay is going to fall, but Gunmay will continue to be in our cast of characters for giantslayer Fight Night Rising as he finishes in the top 3, solidifying his top 3 position to come back next week, as well as a Treebeard.
If Treebeard gets 3rd and Gunmay gets 1st, Gunmay will win the tiebreaker.
All right, so Gunmay can still win this lobby. Right now, he's running away, maybe feeling a little bit scared of Duo Q Abuser. That Shaco in the back line. It's funny, that's another one of those interactions. Shaco's just jumping across against each other. And we're seeing the power of the mech getting eaten. Urgot gets a little bit of a buffet. Treebeard gets eliminated. Will Gunmay be able to survive?
Oh man, I mean, not this round it seems, but he's still alive. I mean, he loses the round, but survives ultimately. Carousel, is there an item that Gunmay can pick here that is going to make a difference? I'm not sure that there is. I think that Gunmay, he's only really gonna be itemized or be able to itemize the Z here, and that's not gonna, I say hesitantly, not gonna make the difference. It might, but for infiltrators, just really isn't a synergy that's that great right now. Like the Shaco and the Fizz, sure, I can see, but the Nocturne, not going to do much. The Zed, no Rebels, isn't going to be doing too much here. It's really on the mech, Shaco, and Victor right now.
Yeah, and Duo Q Abuser might end up winning this lobby out on his phone. As he has to switch over to his mobile device. Remember, folks, you can download TFT on mobile. Just shilling for more a little bit. It's really fun to play. Even on Here we go. This could potentially be the last round. We see the pilots get in the mech. At least one ultimate goes off. The Victor is going to be able to get one off as well. The Echo, though, deleting a lot of that HP. The RFC on the Echo, keeping him safe. Gunmay not safe at all as Duo Q Abuser wins the lobby. I wonder if that's enough to put him in 3rd.
Duo Q Abuser, it's gonna be close. We're gonna get the standings sorted out very soon. But shoutouts to Duo Q Abuser. Power went out, said I'm logging on to mobile, wins the lobby anyway. You can do it. You can do it too.
Yeah, that's like pooping in someone else's house. That's like I'm here. Oh, it's a tie. So Duo Q Abuser because they both got first once.
Yeah,
right?
I don't know. After that, I have no idea. We gotta leave it to the
okay. All right. So between Sphinx and Duo Q Abuser, we're going to figure it out. My gut is telling me that I think DuoQ Abuser might have gotten it, because I think it comes down to the most recent result after that. But we will definitely, I could literally be lying. I could have dreamt that. So we will find out. Treebeard, though, because he's the only one to finish in the top top four in all 4 lobbies, does end up winning it out. Very good stuff. I'm excited for this interview so you could kind of pick his brain a little bit, Khroen, on how he was able to get here. So Khroen, what do you think about this? Yeah, what do you think about this lobby?
Yeah, Treebeard winning. I'm impressed by his play. I think that, I've talked about it before, Treebeard unorthodox play style sometimes, but he's able to make it work. And especially in this meta, there has been a patch, but not too much has changed. But Treebeard still on top, and he has been for, a lot of this mid set. Gunmay, on a disappointing performance in game number 1, but did turn it around and, got first, third, and then second. So really good performance there. Gunmay is still, proven that he's one of the better players here, but wasn't able to beat Treebeard tonight. And I think we have him on the line right now. Treebeard, are you here?
Treebeard is the
hear you.
Is the beard of the forest here?
Oh.
There you are.
Wait, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Can you hear us? You good?
Yeah, we're good.
Hell yeah!
All right.
Congratulations.
Yeah, congrats, Treebeard, on your victory. Initially, so I wanted to ask you, double Nicoing Bard, you did it. Do you think it's worth it? I think you won that lobby, right? Or do you?
Yeah.
What are your double Nicoing the Bard there? So walk us through your thought process there.
I slam it every time personally, especially because I prefer to play protectors. And if you can have like a super tanky front line that can get you a bunch of meeps, you like get to 9 insanely quickly before the rest of the lobby. So it's kind of like, as long as you don't lose mid game really hard when everybody else starts Nicoing everything, you're fine. If you do, then you might end up like 6th, 7th, 8th.
Yeah.
Well, isn't that the kind of like the role of TFT, right? You do this, you can get 2nd. If you do this, it's a fast 8th. But like for me, it's kind of like, well, I'm going to Nico somebody that I'm going to end up selling. That's a lot of an investment that might end up not being on your board. Do you think you just make up for it based off of the amount of XP you get?
Yeah, I think the meeps make up for it if you're getting a bunch of meeps per round. So if you have like a Vanguard frontline or a Protected frontline, you're getting like 4+ meeps per round. That's like 4 gold going towards EXP per round. That's pretty good, especially for the first few rounds. It's like super important that you get it at the start of the game or like on the second turn. If you get it at Carousel and Nico it, it's like an int. Getting it for the first 3 rounds before Carousel is huge, because like you don't spend gold the first round and you get level 4 the second round most of the time, because you're gonna get 2 meeps for the most part, and then you get 5 before Carousel as well, usually without spending gold.
Oh, definitely makes a lot of sense there. Treebeard, I also wanted to get a little bit of your insight on even just this whole mid set in general, because you are sitting early on at rank 1 for a while and have been, top leaderboards and performing well and winning this night's fight night, even against Gunmay. You just came off of a Giant Slayer series victory in the finals. So, what do you think is the reason that you're performing so well in this current meta, this current mid set? How have you really been doing that here?
So mid-set first came out, I feel like I had a good understanding of what was good initially, and then people figured out how to counter that, so it kind of died down a bit. But then as people learned to counter what I was playing, which is like Warmox Protector shenanigans, then it was like, oh, people are building Giant Slayers, and people are building Last Whispers, and like your front line disappears. Then it was like, okay, cool. And Snipers were also a problem initially, but people don't really play Snipers anymore. So I was like, all right, let's add in Infiltrators. Let's defeat the Snipers with that. And that worked really well with the Snipers, and then that last game I had Shen for most of the game, just because everybody was running 80 comps and Cybers, which I think helped get me to top 4.
Oh yeah,
it's kind of like adapting to what everybody else has adapted to counter me. That's
definitely. Seems like you're very aware of how the meta shifts and to be on top of those meta shifts to then counter that. And it's kind of like a never-ending process. That is the meta of TFT. That is how it really goes down. Boop, do you have any other questions?
Yeah, just to kind of follow up what you were saying, I kind of, in the teaching world, we call that the hierarchy of knowledge, right? Understanding what's important, what's most important right now versus what's going to be most important in a bit. And I think the Bard conversation is such a great way of kind of understanding what the hierarchy of knowledge is per lobby, right? It's okay, well, if I get this, then this will happen, but only if I do this. So the other thing I want to talk about, it's not TFT related, man. So Khroen was telling some funny stories about you during the cast. One, I hear you were rolling down at 2-3 for Ivern 3 back in the day. And two, I saw that you were using the Windows 95 taskbar. And I just got to say, that is someone who's going straight to my heart. You know, they say the food is the way to a man's heart, but for me, it's a Windows 95 taskbar. So, tell me about yourself. Like, we don't get a lot of times to talk to the players directly. So, where did your name come from, and why TFT?
Treebeard comes from Lord of the Rings. I used to play Heroes of the Storm, as Khroen knows. Khroen did as well. I was trying to make it in that, and then Blizzard kind of, read that.
Yep, we can.
And then I was thinking about
unspoken. Yep.
Yeah, playing a MOBA after that. I watched a Dota tournament or some of a Dota tournament, and there was like a 60-minute game. I was like, all right, nope. And then I was actually playing League for a little bit, but League is just insanely toxic. So yeah, and I was having a bunch of fun playing TFT, and I feel like they've done a really good job of like from set one to now improving the game over time and making it like a better experience for the player. And I feel like they're going to continue to do that. So I feel like eventually it's going to be like an amazing game.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Khroen, that's it for me. I just got to give you props for being the only person to top 4 all the lobbies tonight. After those first 2 lobbies, it was pretty crazy. But Mr. Consistent and a lobby win as well for you. Congratulations from me, Khroen. What do you want to say to close this out?
Shout out to Twitch chat.
Shout it out.
Nice. All right, Gunmay. I'm Treebeard.
Oh no!
Hunter Treebeard. Congratulations on getting your first and beating Gunmay. That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, saved. But actually, huge congrats to you. You've come here and competed and done very, very well. So, congrats, and excited to see you back here next week and try to defend your title.
Thanks. I'll definitely be there.
Good. We'll see you here.
All right. That will do it for tonight, Boop. We have had some really, really fun games. Like this is one of the most that I have casted. Saw a lot of galaxies, 4-4 galaxies. We saw a whole bunch of good stuff here.
Yeah, 4 different galaxies. I don't remember the last time I ever played 4 galaxies in a row. I came into this like, I am cursed. I'm someone who makes theme parks rain, So I'm glad that we were able to see such a variable amount of lobbies. Like it got a little, even before we were talking, we were saying, oh, it can get a little stale sometimes if, something's good for too long. But today it was a lot of variability, a lot of like lobby specific countering that I really, really liked. But we do have a pretty crazy result now to share it with you. We do have 3rd place Khroen. Give us the info because this is pretty crazy.
Sphinx actually is in 3rd place after that, narrowly beating Duo Q Abuser. So even with that 1st place, was unable to take that. We will see Sphinx back here next week because of that, but Duo Q Abuser does place in the money though, getting that $25.
Yeah, and anytime you make money off of video games, you got to give yourself a thumbs up and say, you know what, take that, mom, because I was right. I'm making money off of video games, and hopefully that $25 can snowball into some other results because as DuoQ Abuser is unable, I think the 3-week curse takes over for DuoQ Abuser. I don't know why, but I love his style of play. I like how he plays super early and aggressive. Just today, the lobby wasn't as friendly for him, but in the end, I think DuoQ Abuser is someone that I want to see more of and hopefully see more of in the future because he really impressed me over the last couple of weeks.
Definitely, and I echo your sentiment there, and also want to see hopefully Wolfie we see back here again at some point. You'd have
love
a top 4
that.
Showed some promise. As a lot of strong competitors here, as we said before, one of our strongest lobbies of Fight Night that at least we've casted together, but honestly out of a lot of Fight Nights in general. So definitely like to see in the competition keep getting better and better. But
Definitely.
on that note, I think we'll be signing off here. Had a great time casting with you, Boob. Some great games. And actually will not personally be casting here for a little bit throughout the month of
That's
July.
right.
But you'll be having a I don't even know if it's announced yet. I don't even know if I can talk about this.
I don't know if it's going to be announced either, but it's a familiar voice. It's kind of like telling your kids what like the Christmas present is without telling them. It's like it's a game system. There's a letter and 2 numbers in it. No, so it's my hint is the co-caster is British. So that is going to be the hint. So our friends in EU should feel really happy and excited about what's going on next month. I will be back casting Fight Night. Khroen, I feel like I just, we're just connecting. It's only been a little bit, but we'll get back there after next month as you will be doing kind of your own thing, competing maybe, taking a little bit of a break. But I will be back with Fight Night Rising with a soon-to-be-announced co-caster that you all have seen already on this channel, and it's still going to be great. Our top 3 from this week will be back next week as well. That's going to be Sphinx, that is Treebeard, and that is also Gunmay. Did it from memory, proud of myself, and hopefully we continue to bring some awesome TFT, even without Khroen, which I know is possible, but is going to be hard to do.
I believe in you and the unannounced co-caster, but until next time, everyone have a good night, and we'll see you next time on Fight Night Rising.